This guy is on our side. He's an instructor at a prestigious magic academy who, on his very first day, taught his students a new way of using magic. It was 3 times faster, completing the incantation in less than half a second, which immediately sent shockwaves through the entire school. Because he isn't just an ordinary teacher. He has a military background, having survived countless life-or-death battles. What's more, his master is the world's only immortal vampire. A normal person is considered powerful if they can master 5 elements. This guy here has mastered over 10. Okay, no more rambling. Let's get started. Mom, I lost my father when I was young. When my brave little sister and I were nearly grown, my mother told me, "Son, you should become a shaman. You have what it takes to be a shaman. The spirits have always protected you. If you don't follow that path, a cruel wrath will fall upon you one day." Just like that, my mother continued to force her beliefs on me. She gave me poems, drawings, and even strange magic formations. However, I was determined to decide my own fate, so I never accepted any of it. As a form of rebellion, I focused on my studies and research more than ever before. 15 years passed. After becoming a self-reliant man in society, I died in a simple accident. Unbelievable. Was this the wrath my mother spoke of? But what was even harder for me to believe was, that I had been reborn. I never believed in an afterlife. Everything my mother said was coming true. People can't understand things they haven't personally experienced. Unfortunately, it wasn't until I kicked the bucket that I finally realized that. So what am I supposed to do now? Cut to a classroom. The young man stands at the podium and announces, "Class will now begin. I will continue the lecture on the method for activating a hidden magic circle. Me under the guise of a professor at a magic academy. How did things end up like this?" Scene change to the imperial capital. But first, the train station. A ticket inspector stands politely by the train entrance. "Hello, may I check your ticket, sir?" "Thank you, sir. Have a pleasant journey." The man calmly boarded the train. Car 403, so that would be the 3rd room of car number 4. Arriving at room 403, he entered and immediately saw another man. He appeared older, sitting and reading a newspaper. Seeing him, the man greeted him. "A pleasure to meet you." The young man politely nodded back. Not long after, the train began to depart. Soon the train had left the city. The 2 men in the room sat in silence, not exchanging another word. The young man looked up from his book at the older man, glancing at the newspaper he was reading. He could roughly piece together the current situation. The civil war in the Utah Kingdom had ended. Victory belonged to the princess's faction. At last, the civil war in Utah was over. The man looked at him appraisingly. So that's how it turned out. I was always curious when it would finally end. It feels like it was just yesterday. The prince's side was still trying its best to reinforce its troops. It's a relief that it's all over. Please forgive my rudeness. My name is Luger Chalice Gerzat. I don't have a surname. You must be a nobleman, then? Yes, but from a fallen family, so you needn't worry. Oh, is that so? Where is your destination, Mr. Gerzat? I'm on my way to Lindizunio, the imperial capital. I hear that area is quite popular with tourists. The empire. Exilion is known as an ideal destination for tourists due to the remarkable development of its magical devices. My final stop is Ladorable. I've just been accepted into the Sugan Academy of the Exilion Empire. At such a young age, you must be very talented. The young man replied shyly, "Not at all. I just barely met the qualifications." Ha! Many people don't even meet the qualifications. You should be more proud of yourself. Thank you for the compliment, sir. Speaking of the Utah Civil War, have you heard that rumor? That the key to the princess's faction's victory wasn't an outstanding sorcerer or high-ranking knights, but a rogue mercenary named Machiavelli. So that's how it is. Well now, your reaction is a bit nonchalant. That's because I think it's just a fabricated rumor. But it's not a fabricated rumor. Machiavelli is one of the many names I used while wandering the world in search of a certain object. Finishing his thought, the old man continued, "Say, Luger." "Yes? Are you going to be teaching at Sugan right away?" "Yes, I've been assigned to the 2nd year." "Starting with the 2nd year? You're definitely more talented than you let on." Hearing this, Luger looked bewildered, quickly averting the man's gaze and shaking his head. The old man's lips moved, muttering something. Suddenly, a massive explosion echoed from the distance, shaking the very earth. The peaceful train journey was greatly affected by the tremor. Could the engine have exploded? How? That's highly unlikely. The Magitech engine on this train is heavily protected. Then, a blood-curdling scream rang out from somewhere. This made Gerzat even more certain of his assessment. This is an attack. It's probably the work of a group of robbers, targeting merchants or nobles or something of that sort. If that's true and there's a witch among them, we should either hide or get out of here. Hold on, just in case I'll take the lead. Luger scanned the area, making sure it was safe before stepping out. I think we're the only ones in car number 4. What about the other passengers? Do you think they're barricaded in their cabins? Every cabin has its own protection spell, so that's impossible. The outside of the train is protected by similar magic, which means the cabins aren't safe anymore. So, does that mean that a problem is in the third car? Right next door to us. Why do you think they haven't gotten to us yet? If I were a robber, I'd target car number 1 first. That's where the wealthy passengers with first-class tickets are. So, we're quite lucky. We should use this time to escape to the car behind us. We just have to hold out until the guards from the front arrive. But just then, a robber suddenly swung in through the window. Luger instinctively moved to protect Girls, shielding her behind him. The menacing robber glared at them both, as if they had personally wronged him. He doesn't look right in the head. Then, the man pulled out a knife and charged. Luger, remaining calm, used his magic, casting a spell to attack the robber. The man was paralyzed by a jolt from an electric orb, unable to do anything for a short while. Did you finish him? He shook his head. No, I just paralyzed him temporarily. Seeing him approach the robber, Girls moved to stop him, but he said, "It's okay. I just want to interrogate him a little." He pinned the man down with his foot, aimed his baton at his face, and shouted, "What are you people after?" The robber was silent for a long moment. Then he began to chuckle. "I didn't tell you to laugh. Answer me." The robber spat back. "Filthy scumbags like you deserve to die." With that, he ripped open his jacket, revealing a bomb strapped to his body. Just then, the countdown timer hit 1. In that last second, all Luger could hear was Girls' terrified scream right beside him. It was immediately followed by a powerful explosion. While its force wasn't enough to blow the train off the rails, the mountainside shook violently. An unknown amount of time passed. Amidst the smoke and dust, Girls lay bewildered in the wrecked car, clutching his head. He called out anxiously, "Luger, are you all right? Are you hurt?" But when he could see clearly, Luger was gone. The corridor was completely empty. He ran outside, searching and frantically calling his name. Suddenly, he noticed the mask he was wearing was torn. Looking at it, he frowned. And I spent a fortune on this thing. When he pulled it off, he was revealed to be a strapping young man. He scowled and clicked his tongue. Why does this kind of crap always happen around me? It's not like I had some grand reason for using a fake name, like Machiavelli. I just wanted to use the name of a famous person from the memories of my past life, that's all. I've spent a lot of time traveling and have gotten into my fair share of trouble, so I've had to change my identity many times. Machiavelli was just one of the names I've used. A lot happened back then. It brought unwanted attention to someone who couldn't afford to have their identity exposed, but luckily the princess was sleeping soundly on her laurels. So I seized the chance while they weren't paying attention to me and changed my identity. At the time, I was on a magic train heading to Linda Janelle. Thinking about it, he sighed. Seriously, why is it that wherever I go, disaster follows? The train had taken a massive explosion, yet it still hurtled onward. With a flick of his wrist, he threw the mask away, with a look of mock sorrow. May you rest in peace, Mr. Luger. I honestly didn't think an accident like this would happen, especially on a day like today. And who would have guessed he'd detonate a bomb while being electrocuted? Ordinary thieves don't act like that. What a brilliant plan. A suicide bombing. Maybe their real target wasn't money, but the train itself. A train guard was running around, checking on passengers. Seeing him, the guard looked extremely worried and asked, "Sir, are you all right?" However, taking in the scene before him, the guard hesitated. The young man looked at the guard and said, "We were attacked by an armed robber. It looks like they're targeting car number 1. We should move to a safer car. I was just about to evacuate the other passengers." "Sir, you should quickly move." Before the guard could finish, the young man grabbed him by the throat and slammed him to the floor. "What are you doing? Why would you—" With a grim expression, he said, "Did you really think such clumsy acting would work on me?" But that robber, he seemed like he'd been waiting for a long time. An express train through a rugged mountain range like this is one thing, but for the train's magical barrier to be broken too. Pulling that off would be difficult and time-consuming, unless they had help from someone on the inside. The guard looked at him with a feigned expression of confusion and worry, but in an instant it changed. He pulled a small knife from his sleeve, but the young man was more than ready for him. He immediately pressed his baton to the man's throat while pinning the hand holding the knife. "I'd advise you not to try anything stupid." You're fast." "Who are you people? What do you want?" "It's no use keeping quiet. Move." But they had only taken a few steps when the train car shook violently again. That familiar sound made him shudder. He immediately shoved the guard forward. Instantly, a sniper from a blind spot riddled the guard with bullets. They didn't even give him a chance to send a signal. Did that mean he had already told them everything? Then, someone violently kicked the door down and stormed in. "What the hell? There's still one alive. We've already fired so many rounds. How is he still alive? Who are you people to be throwing around words like life and death so carelessly?" Without a word, those men raised their hands and opened fire as he glanced over the entire group. Just as they were about to pull the triggers, their joints froze, making it impossible. "What's going on now? The gun won't fire." "Hey, wait. Don't tell me that guy is a..." A magic circle appeared in his hand, and only then did the terrorists realize he was a mage. He must have used some kind of spell to disable our guns. Then he looked to the side where a swirling aura was gathering. The spell in his hand then vanished. "So it can be nullified. I had no idea there was a mage on this train. Give up." As they spoke, the terrorists took a few steps closer to him. "If you surrender, I'll grant you a painless death. He actually looks pretty strong. But he's probably just a level 4 mage like me. He has to be. Otherwise, I would have heard some rumors about him by now." His eyes suddenly became unnervingly calm. "This train was attacked 10 minutes ago. There's still a long way to go before the train passes the Arite mountain range, and reinforcements will take a while to arrive, so I can't rely on them. In that case, I'm better off handling this myself." He jumped down. "Hansen, go check! Hurry!" When they looked out, he was gone. The man named Hansen looked around and said, "It seems he really did jump. He must be a Before he could finish his sentence, Hansen was gone forever. The people below were shocked when they heard. But how? Did he use flight magic? Is it even possible to follow a moving train with flight magic? "All of you, shut up and go after him. Our opponent is a mage. Bringing along too many non-mages will only get in the way. Just leave a few people here. The rest of you, surround car number 1. Following their leader's command, the group started firing at him on the roof of the train. He had to move constantly to dodge their bullets. Below, they heard his running footsteps and immediately gave chase. "He's running to the last car! Quick, get him!" The moment the door opened a crack, an explosion erupted, effortlessly claiming the lives of a few terrorists. A trap? Impossible in such a short amount of time. How could this be happening? What the hell? Compared to the mages I've faced in the past, he's different. Terrifyingly so. His movements are practical and incredibly efficient. He's more like a hunter than a mage, maybe even a mercenary. Then, the terrorists heard a loud noise from outside. Hearing the sound, the leader immediately figured it out. That guy detached the car and is escaping. I should have realized sooner. He never needed to fight us, he thought as he rushed to the door. When he opened it, he saw the 2 cars had already separated by a significant distance. Just like that, half were gone and half were left behind. He looked at the silent train cars behind him, lost in thought. "Damn it, we've lost him! We can't abandon the entire train just because of that one guy. I've memorized his face. We'll find him and take care of him soon enough." Suddenly, the leader felt an invisible pressure on his shoulders. "What is this powerful wave of mana? Where the hell is it coming from?" Confused, he looked behind him and saw him standing there, for who knows how long, along with a dazzling golden magic formation. He looked at them coldly, as if giving them a few seconds for their last words. "How can he be here? Don't tell me this is another trap." A flash of light shot through the terrorists, turning them into dust scattered by a strong wind. The leader reacted quickly, drawing his sword to block a few spells. A moment later, his expression turned to fear. He told his men to run for their lives, but the light only grew brighter, swallowing every last terrorist without exception. I don't know how much time passed. Faint smoke and dust drifted through the car. He stood there, looking at his handiwork. "Is it over? So, you managed to survive, huh? Why? Why did you eliminate us, huh? Don't you feel any guilt towards us at all? We were comrades who dedicated our strength to this world." As he was about to continue, he was cut off. "Beyond my imagination. Your madness is truly beyond anything I could have imagined. Weren't you the ones who wanted me dead first? How can you say that? You dare ask for sympathy only after it's come to this, still trying to talk your way out of it? Right in front of the people you killed? And you wanted to hunt down and kill me, yet you're blaming me? Of course you would, wouldn't you? At first I was planning to run, but you all saw my real face, and I knew that if I ran you would definitely chase me. Taking care of you now saves me a lot of trouble, including that boss of yours. Suddenly a spear of ice shot through his body. He watched this, completely shocked, not understanding who had acted in his place. From outside, a girl with an overwhelming presence walked in. Entering with a cold aura, she asked in a worried voice, "Are you all right? You must have been terrified, but please rest assured. I, a knight, have appeared to protect everyone." In another car, a few gunshots rang out. Tisk, tisk. How did they get here so fast? I can't believe they used flight magic in this kind of weather. The members of the Cold Order easily dealt with the bullets. Then, that person drew back their hand, gathered their power, and charged forward, quickly cutting through a group of terrorists. Powerless, all they could do was cry. With just a cold streak of light, the leader of the terrorists in this area was completely defeated. The knight glanced at the remaining men. The moment their eyes met, the entire group was terrified. Then came their frantic screams. It sounded pitiful, but oh well. Car number 2 is all cleared up. Same for car number 1. We've secured the passengers' safety. Vice Captain reporting in. We have finished clearing all the cars. Good work, everyone. Escort the passengers safely to the next stop. Soon the train arrived at Litherville Station. He silently looked outside, lost in his thoughts. The female knight Vice Captain approached. "Are you all right, sir? Those terrorists didn't injure you, did they? Thanks to the help from you knights, I'm perfectly fine. I was just thinking a little." "I'm very relieved to hear that. I apologize for the delay. I'm Veronica Devon." He was about to say something when suddenly someone interrupted. Turning around, a square-jawed man calmly approached and spoke. "Are you the commander of the Night Corps?" "Yes, I am Vice Captain Veronica Devon. I'm Inspector Jem Lute from the Little World City Police Department. I received a report about a train attack in the Arete Mountains." "Arete? But we already eliminated all the terrorists there." "We are very grateful for the Night Corps' actions. However, there are a few things not mentioned in the report." "Things not mentioned? What are they? The train was taken over incredibly quickly. Even though there was a mage among them, they boarded this Magi engine train far too easily. We suspect that someone on this train may have assisted in this attack. What you've just said makes a lot of sense. Of course, this is all just speculation for now. We will immediately dispatch our people once we've investigated the suspect's identity." She nodded, indicating she understood, then turned and spoke to the person inside. "You heard him, didn't you, sir? As long as you're honest, there won't be any problems." He gave a calm smile, but inside he was extremely worried. This is bad. The Giljack identity is flawless. The ticket was bought through a normal transaction, and I boarded legally. The problem is that no matter how you look at it, this is not the face of a man in his 40s. I'll definitely be hanged. If I'm lucky, it'll just be torture. Outside, there's a whole bunch of knights and an inspector. Escape is impossible. On top of that, this vice captain's personality is the classic type that's ruthless with criminals. She may be smiling and treating me kindly right now, but the moment I'm identified as a suspect. As he was thinking, the inspector's voice cut in. "Are you all right, sir? Pardon my intrusion. It took me a while to get the passenger list. I'm just going to verify your identity, so there's no need to worry. If you still have your ticket, would you mind if I see it? It's cabin 403. Seems to be in order. Let's see. A young man in his 20s named Luger Chelsea, and a man in his 40s named Gazart. Where is the other person?" He skillfully gave a vague answer. "He was unfortunately caught in an explosion when the train was attacked. It happened just as the train was crossing the ARETT range, so he unfortunately fell into the chasm." "Oh, is that so?" He nervously swallowed. Vice Captain Veronica spoke up. "Please wait a moment. This man cannot be the suspect. He was fighting the terrorists before the Night Corps even arrived. Why would he do that if he were an accomplice? He's fighting them? Ah, I see. So that's what happened. My apologies, Sir Luger. I was also quite surprised by the enemy's actions." "What's this? You've just been accepted into Susan Academy?" After they said that, the two of them looked at him with sparkling eyes, as if they'd made a grand discovery. Finding himself cornered, he seized the escape route they'd just laid out for him and started to play along. "That's right. Just as you two said, I am the newly accepted professor." After completing the necessary procedures, the vice captain and the inspector walked him out. "Once again, my apologies for this inconvenience, Sir Luger." He politely replied, "Not at all. I was able to get here safely thanks to you both. Why don't I escort you to Susan Academy? You'll be teaching the future generation of the Empire. How could I possibly let you go on your own? He screamed internally. Being escorted by you people would be even more of a pain. Yes, well, I need to go somewhere to handle a personal matter. You don't need to trouble yourselves for my sake. If you insist, then we will respect your wishes. Then I shall take my leave first. Lady Veronica, though it was brief, it was a pleasure to meet you. Yes, Sir Luger. I hope we can meet again. After saying their goodbyes, he quickly blended into the bustling crowd, walking with a steady, confident gait, but inside, he was extremely anxious. I did it! I actually did it! Really, sorry about this, Luger, but you really saved me. I'm lucky the photography skills in this world aren't very developed. It's hard to tell Luger and me apart from just a single photo. I should be fine after getting out of that mess. I have to run away while I find a new identity. But that thought was extinguished as soon as it sparked when someone's voice called out, Luger? So it really is you, sir. I saw you talking with the Knights. I am an employee of Susan Academy. My name is VKPEL Ford. I came here to pick you up after hearing about the terrorist incident. I'm so glad you're unharmed. Please, get in the carriage. I will take you to Susan. Seeing that he couldn't slip away, he helplessly put his plan on hold. The horse-drawn carriage clattered down the street, but what was special was that instead of using normal horses, the Academy used energy-powered horses. He sat silently in the carriage, thinking, this is bad. I didn't think they'd go out of their way to send someone to pick me up, and that man, he's no ordinary employee. Aside from his sturdy physique, I couldn't sense his presence at all when he approached me. He must have been a knight, at the very least. If I try to escape with some stupid trick, he'll definitely get suspicious and keep an eye on me. For now, I'll just choose the safe option. It might be better than running away. My past self has been confirmed dead. Right now, I'm basically a ghost. So even if I get dragged somewhere, no one will notice. To be honest, it's better to have a solid identity. I should play the part of Luger Chelsea while I wait for an opportunity. We've arrived, Sir Luger. This is Susan Academy. Looking at the campus, he was completely astonished. This whole area is the Susan campus? It's even bigger than I imagined. I will take you to the office. You can leave your luggage with me. The man led him down a wide hallway. He entered the office and spoke first. I am Luger Chelsea. I've come as you summoned. The woman sitting at the desk looked at him intently, the corners of her mouth turning up into a smile. I've been waiting for you, Luger. I am the headmistress of Susan Academy, Elisa Willow. Are you all right? I heard you were caught up in an assassination attempt. It wasn't too serious. I was rescued by a knight just in time. That's good news. Our academy would get a bad reputation. If our newest professor got injured, to put it bluntly, it's for the school's reputation. She must not be right in the head. But more importantly, I've felt something strange for a while now. Am I just imagining things? Had Luger ever met this headmistress before? Does she realize I'm not him? As if guessing his thoughts, Elisa said with a laugh. This is the first time I've met you in person, but you really are quite handsome. Thank you for the compliment. Oh, no need to be so formal. Seriously, once the school year starts, the students are going to be buzzing about this. All right, first, please take this. I've already informed you about it. But it doesn't hurt to be thorough. The contract will last for 2 years. Your salary is written in there. And we will provide room and board. He looked at the contract and thought, this is the contract, huh? I plan on leaving as soon as possible, so it's not that important. The moment he saw the number of zeros on the contract, his whole body froze. Converted to the common currency of the 6th continent, it was 30 million DNA, which is 300,000 US dollars. What do you think? The terms are good, aren't they? He forced himself to reply. Not bad. That's what I said, but my mind was exploding. I've hit the jackpot. Calm down. Expectations for a professor at Susan Academy are also very high. Can I really settle down here? A place where the halls are filled with nothing but geniuses. But I've already committed to the job. It'd be even more suspicious if I came all this way just to turn down the job. I have no choice but to agree. Deception, lies, and emotional manipulation. Those are my strengths. I've double-checked it. Let's sign the contract. I have real-world experience, and it doesn't require theoretical knowledge. I think I'll be a decent professor. All right? I look forward to working with you, Professor Google. Me too, Headmaster Willow. As he shook Willow's hand, he was already calculating his next 2 years. That night, in a certain house. The new school year starts in 3 weeks. I have so much to prepare. I can't believe they rented an entire house for me. This time, I'm an academy professor. It's been 27 years since I came to this world, reincarnated with no special abilities, only memories of my past life. I had to survive on my own because of those terrible parents. I've survived so many absurd situations. It's hard to believe I'm now a professor at Susan. This is just like being a spy. More like I was forced into being a spy. But I needed a new identity anyway, and this Google guy is perfect to impersonate. He's a fallen noble from the small kingdom of Coden. He's an only child, and both his parents have passed away. And his letters are all blank pages, so it seems he wasn't close to anyone. That means no one should be able to recognize me. This identity is too perfect. The only things left are the contents of my lectures and information about Suzanne. All right, time to survey the area. Now that I think about it, I haven't eaten anything since that train accident. I guess I'll start tomorrow morning. Where did they say the restaurant was? Early in the morning, he stopped by a cafe to relax and read the newspaper. 2 weeks had passed. Time really flies. I've more or less finished the necessary tasks, and preparations for my class are going pretty smoothly. The school year starts in 1 week. I just need to focus on practicing now. Seeing someone arrive, he thought the rush hour was starting, so he quickly drank his coffee and prepared to leave. The newcomer took the seat right behind him and whispered, "I'm glad you're safe, sir. I was starting to think something had happened to you." Hearing that, he almost choked on his coffee. The early morning cafe was very quiet. Seeing he didn't move, she said, "Why haven't you contacted us for 2 weeks? The other members are also very curious about your situation." He calmly took a sip of his tea without responding. After a moment, he set the cup down. "All right, let me run a few tests first." They did indeed come looking for someone named Lung Chelisi. The girl continued, "That assassination attempt was just an accident. We didn't think the rebels would attack at that time. I also need information on Susan." "What? Didn't we already send it to you? I need to verify whether the information is accurate." Hearing that, the girl said, "Understood," and rummaged for some documents. His voice was calm, but inside, he felt like he was about to jump out of his skin. "Should I just play along for now to avoid suspicion? So, has your side handled everything?" "Of course. Before coming here, we assassinated all the key figures at the academy and found the traitor in our organization from what I've heard. Their limbs were torn off and stuffed down their own throats, then thrown to wild dogs to eat. Do you think that's a fitting end for traitors, sir?" A flicker of panic in his eyes, he glanced at the girl behind him, repeatedly telling himself to stay calm. Suddenly, the girl flinched as if she realized something. "I'm sorry. I should have checked in before reporting, shouldn't I?" "It's fine. But why did you suddenly come to see me?" "Because it's been almost half a month since the level 1s arrived here. But there was still no news, so you decided to act on your own during such a critical period?" Hearing this, the girl was utterly flustered and apologized profusely. "Your suspicious attire was already bothering me. Did you want to look even more suspicious? They're agitated by my actions. That must be it. This girl is afraid of this person named Luga. All right, then. It's time for a test. So how many people have gathered? 31 level 2s and 7 level 3s have successfully infiltrated. The other rank 1s arrived early and settled in. The whole plan is in effect. I know. I'm done checking this out. Time to get up and go. I understand. For our next meeting, you just need to arrive at the designated location beforehand, sir. You want me to come?" Hearing his question, the girl seemed to be crushed by immense pressure. He relentlessly added another sentence. "Is a lowly person like you ordering me around?" Hearing her stammer in fear, he continued, "I don't want to hear your excuses. I will decide the meeting location. I only meet when summoned by someone of equal or higher rank." "By higher rank, do you mean rank 0, sir?" "That's right. Don't bother me with trivial matters, unless it's from that person." With that, he strode away. As he walked, he struggled to keep his composure. Holy shit. Those guys are more dangerous than I thought. Assassinating key figures at the academy. And what they do to traitors. This is insane. I've got to get out of here fast. But then, the girl suddenly called out to him, "Sir, please wait a moment." He stopped in a panic but didn't turn around. "When will you contact us, sir? And how will you do it?" "I haven't even thought that far ahead." "Do I have to spell it out for you myself?" No, sir. Please have a safe trip, sir." When he got back, he immediately dug up information. A fallen noble. He has no relatives. Achieved rank 4 the fastest, and is a professor at Sogen. Damn it, I should have been suspicious sooner. The reason Luga's background was so perfect is because, from the very beginning, this was an identity created just for this. Because he couldn't use his real identity to infiltrate the academy. The letters he sent and received under Luga's identity are all just code. Haha, damn it all. Staring at the ceiling, he thought for a long time. I'm so screwed. I can't believe the path I chose in such a hurry has led me straight to an atomic bomb like this. Then he opened his books and went over the existing clues again. He sent and received codes using the Black Tortoise language. I was suspicious because his writing was so clumsy. But the real problem is, a rank 1 infiltrated Sogen Academy as a professor and gained the school's trust. The next steps will be sent depending on the situation. Sogen isn't the only thing I should be worried about. The more he thought, the more his head ached. But no matter how he looked at it, it was hard to believe. What kind of high-ranking member of a secret society gets caught up in an assassination on a train and just dies? He was a high-ranking member of an organization that planted countless spies in Sogen, for crying out loud. Someone like that should have survived. What's the point of criticizing a guy who's already 6 feet under? Anyway, there's one more thing they must never find out about me. Sogen Academy and the secret society. Perhaps it would be better if I contacted them today. According to the girl I met today, the secret society has 4 ranks. Rank 0, rank 1, 2, and 3. I have no idea what rank 0 is, but just knowing it exists is good enough for now. The most important thing now is who the other rank 1 is. If he was a friend of Luga's, he'll soon realize I'm an imposter. For now, the priority is not to get caught. The most ideal scenario in my head right now is Sogen exterminates them for me. Sogen is very powerful. I just need those guys to make a move. No matter how strong the secret society is, they can't destroy Sogen. Of course, I should provide just enough information to avoid getting caught between the two sides. Just thinking about the tightrope. That I have to walk to appease both of these powers is giving me a headache. But it'll probably be fine. I guess I won't be able to relax for these next 2 years. Blue skies, white clouds, a peaceful atmosphere at Sogen Academy. Students chattered excitedly as they began their school day. In the classroom, the cadets had arrived and were preparing their materials for the new lecture. Have you guys heard? The Charm Theory and Elemental Deciphering class has a new professor. A new professor for the second-year class? They must be really good. I don't think it was planned, since the last professor suddenly resigned. You mean the professor that the students protested against? Right in front of other students, too. Flora, they're talking about you. Oh dear, what did I ever do to make them say that? As a student, I merely wished to point out to the professor that their magic techniques were flawed. But you guys know what? His resume is supposedly super elite. I heard he wrote a lot when he was a military officer. So doesn't that mean he's a good person? He's certainly not ordinary, but did you know? He's a fallen noble. Really? Then getting credits should be easy. The girl named Flora felt a growing sense of disappointment as she listened to the crowd's murmurs. Suddenly, the classroom door opened. Luger walked step by step to the podium. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I am the new professor, Luger Chelsea. His sharp, calm eyes stared directly at each and every student. Seeing this, the students fell silent, unconsciously feeling a sense of pressure. He continued, Since this is just a trial class, I won't start the lesson right away. Instead, I'll go over a few points. I will be teaching you all charms, but my teaching method will be very different. I will focus on practical applications. I don't just teach theory, and this class won't be just for the second years here. First years can also participate. Silence. I understand your complaints, but I will not be lowering the difficulty of this class, so please don't try to bargain with me. A student raised their hand, asking to speak. Could we know why you're allowing first years to join the class, sir? Looking over, it was the courteous, blonde-haired girl who seemed very talented. He found her face quite familiar, but felt no emotion. He continued, As an educator, and I feel my responsibility is and to provide an equal education, regardless of school year. Of course, I understand that my class differs from the current standard. Sir, please explain in more detail. I still find it very hard to understand. If I told you beforehand, what would be the fun in that? If you're curious, then attend my next class. However, I must warn you all. If you think my class is an easy way to get credits just because I'm a new professor, as an educator, I will make you regret it. He lowered his voice and then narrowed his eyes, silently praying in his heart for the students not to come to his class. Well, of course, he had already prepared all the lessons. But teaching fewer students is better. If second years have to be in the same class as first years, their pride will be hurt, won't it? Besides, who would want to take my class now that I've said it's difficult? I am finished. Are there any questions? The students looked at Professor Luger in confusion, gulping. Is it because he's from the military? His aura is really intense. They say he's the youngest person to reach rank 4, right? They were curious about so many things, yet couldn't bring themselves to ask a single question. Flora looked at the new teacher with interest. After a moment of silence, he spoke up. If there are no questions, then the trial class ends here. With that, he left amidst their existential doubt. The burden in his heart was temporarily lifted. Who would have thought that no one would ask any questions? I thought there would be some questions about me. Well, this is good for me, though. But all the answers I spent time preparing are useless now. Huh? Wait a minute. Don't tell me they're deliberately ignoring me. No, it's not that strange, I guess. I should have been more friendly. I probably hurt their pride. Was I too intimidating? As he was walking, he noticed the students who had just left his class. Every one of them looked at him with apprehension, some even recoiling slightly. It was then that he noticed the students lining both sides of the hall were all looking at him with great anxiety. It was just a guess. But was it actually true? You're the new professor, Luger, aren't you? The pink-haired girl approached and greeted him politely. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Selena. I'm a professor here, just like you. Ah, it's nice to meet you, too. Is there something I can help you with? She hesitated before speaking. I was wondering if you've eaten yet? Scene changed to somewhere on campus. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. I'm Brino, in charge of the Golem Summoning class. I'm Marilda. I teach enchantment and illusion. It's part of the Curses and Dispelling Darkness 2 course. A pleasure to meet you all. I'm in charge of the charm casting class. I am Luger Chelsea. He looked around, sizing them up. So this seems to be a party for the professors to get to know each other, huh? Meanwhile, a young man stood a few meters away from the crowd, observing. Feeling a pair of eyes staring at him, Luger looked over curiously. The other person, however, didn't even seem to notice and turned away. Marilda came over to him and whispered, That's Professor Ziz Benamo, as you can see. He's a true noble, not like commoners such as us. The new professors consist of 1 noble, 1 fallen noble, and 3 commoners. It's possible they all have different principles, but each one possesses extremely high skills in their respective fields. In other words, it's highly likely that another rank 1 is among them. Coming here a bit early isn't making things easy for me. I can't even trust my colleagues. The arrogant Professor Ziz spoke up. I cannot bear to be here any longer. I was quite curious to see what the new arrivals would be like. Who would have thought it's just a fallen noble and a few commoners? Don't taint me. You all can just have fun amongst yourselves. Especially you. Don't be so arrogant when you're just a disgraced noble. After saying that, he turned and left. I know he's a noble, but how can he look down on us like that? Don't pay him any mind, Professor Luger. I'm fine. If he won't eat with us, then let's just go eat without him. The other teachers agreed and headed to the dining hall. But in the present, I should be glad I don't have to eat alone. Very quickly, another day is about to end. Somewhere, a magic circle appeared in the night. Discussions and rumors about Luger began. Have you heard about the new professor, Luger Chelsea? He's rumored to be the youngest person to reach level 4, and he even has experience in the military. I heard he also participated in the hunt for the mysterious creature. They also say he wrote his name on the magic tower as a freelance mage. Is that true? The short-haired girl thought for a long time, telling herself, I can't let his Tier 1 class get ruined. I need to get as many students as possible to attend his class. And so the information quickly spread to the other students, although some were afraid. But along with that, they were also very curious. The next morning, he went to class according to his schedule. Today is the first real class. I wonder how many are left. I gave them a clear warning that my class is like hell, so no one would want to join, right? If there are any, it must be because they had no other choice. Because all the other subjects are already full. At most, there will probably only be 30 students in the class. At this moment, the students were discussing animatedly. You saw that post too, right? And it seems that thanks to that post, the lecture hall was packed. He was surprised by the result. Why are there so many students? Is every single seat really taken? And there are so many first-year students too. Isn't it uncomfortable to be in the same class as upperclassmen? It feels like someone is pulling the strings from behind to trick me. No, I probably just underestimated the students. After all, Soren is where the top students on the continent gather. I should have stimulated their competitive instincts. But at this point, I guess there's no other choice. He said sternly, Since there are new students attending for the first time, I will introduce myself again. I am Luger Chelsea. I teach the subject overview of spellcasting processes. I will do my best to teach with all my abilities. I have a question. When you say overview, does that mean all 4 major specializations? He glanced at the student who asked the question, and the student immediately froze as if turned to stone. He said, "Questions are only to be asked when I permit it. I will let it slide this time since it's the first. From now on, anyone who interrupts the class or challenges my authority as a professor will have points deducted. Of course, there will also be opportunities to earn points, so work hard, kids. But since you've already asked the question, I will answer it. That's right. I will be teaching all 4 major specializations. The 4 main elements include release, elemental possession, extrasensory perception, and reinforcement. Those are their corresponding names. Normally, just teaching 2 specializations is already difficult, but he's planning to teach all 4 as a new professor? It feels like he's exaggerating. A girl named Flora looked on with doubt. Luger tapped his wand on the board and said, "Since this is the first class, I'll show you all something to pique your interest. This is the Tier 1 fire element spell, Oscillating Flame. It uses release as its base to combust, oxidize, condense, expand, diffuse, and accelerate. Therefore, these 7 components will unify in sequence to create the technique. What I am about to show you is how to cast this spell 3 times faster." Hearing this, the students were filled with disbelief. "Flora, do you think he's telling the truth?" "I'm not sure. I don't think it's possible unless the fundamental structure of the spell is changed. There are methods like using tablets to store the spell in written form, or reflecting memories, but each has its own limitations. If he's thinking of one of those 2 methods, then I'll be very disappointed." "Professor?" Luger sensed their doubt. He said, "It seems you all have many questions. I will answer only a few." Given the chance to ask, the students rushed to raise their questions. "My name is Alex Allen. I'm a 2nd year. What do you mean by shortening the spell's casting speed?" "I mean exactly that. It will be cast faster." "Next question." "I'm Dahlia, a 1st year. Does that mean you'll be adjusting the technique?" "No, if I were to mess with a completed technique, then it would become a different spell. What I will show you is how to shorten the casting speed while maintaining the spell as it is." "Professor, that's impossible." Hearing a student object, he didn't argue right away, but listened quietly as she spoke. "I am a 2nd-year student, Flora Lumos. Professor, what you're saying is impossible." The other students looked at her and started whispering. "She finally stepped in. That professor is done for. I never gave permission to speak without my consent, but this time I will listen. Why are you so certain that it's impossible? According to all existing formulas, the only method to shorten casting time is through regeneration. You're talking about an achievement that is unprecedented, a feat that's never been achieved before, so I can't trust it. Instead of saying it can't improve, what if it simply won't improve? Magic is stagnating because we focus too much on tradition and history, while science is developing so steadily that it might threaten the position magic has held for so long. I'm not saying science is superior to magic, but that magic still has a chance to evolve. Therefore, your judgment is flawed, because no one has ever tried to improve it. I will be the first." Rebutted for the first time, Flora was flustered. What the hell is going on? Is he so arrogant that he feels no shame? It'll be hard to understand with just an explanation, so I'll show you. You said your name is Flora, correct? Do you know the average casting time for flash fire? It depends on the caster. For a 3rd-rank mage, it's 10 seconds, but higher ranks can shorten it to 5 seconds. Correct. But I'm not talking about improving by ranking up. I'm talking about other methods suited to each student's abilities. So the fastest case would be 5 seconds, though you might be able to cast it a little faster than that. You seem very confident. How about you come up to the podium and demonstrate for us? Without hesitation, Flora agreed. She stepped up to the podium and began casting. A ring of fire quickly appeared before her wand, followed by a large magic circle as the students watched. Even though they expected it, they were still surprised. As expected of the daughter of House Lumos, she's incredibly fast. The professor stood beside her, timing it. 4.78 seconds, total casting time, a feat nearly impossible for a 2nd year. The process was also flawless. She turned and said, "This is nothing." But he still criticized it as too slow, leaving Flora stunned. The fastest record for a 3rd-rank mage is 4.41 seconds, so you're still too slow. Flora, of course, immediately retorted, "If I get used to it, I can cast it even faster." Even that record of 4.41 seconds is still too slow. Hearing his declaration, a buzz went through the classroom. "Watch carefully. This is how you use flash fire." He began to cast. Flora watched intently, wondering, What is he doing? That's not the technique for flash fire. But a magic circle appeared instantly. Witnessing it firsthand, the entire class was so shocked their jaws dropped. What just happened? The spell was completed in the blink of an eye, taking less than a second. That definitely wasn't the flash fire technique. There was no spell completion process at all. See? I'll do it again for those who missed it. He raised his wand, and the magic circle appeared instantly. This time, both Flora and the other students were left speechless. After all that, the expressions on all your faces have changed. The flash fire I just cast took only 0.24 seconds, a huge difference compared to the existing record. However, you could see it was a bit unusual because during the initial incantation, the technique I used wasn't flash fire, yet the end result was the flash fire spell. To be precise, I used one spell to trigger another. Hearing this, the students looked at each other, bewildered, unable to digest this groundbreaking knowledge. Luger continued to explain, so the moment I pay the price for the item, a one-of-a-kind blueprint immediately appears. You can think of it like this. Through the biological hardware, which is the Mage, you consume data called mana, and follow a program called a technique, thereby activating the software called magic. I call it source code. Source code? I've never heard of that kind of magic. Just what is he? Has your question been answered, Flora Lumos? Flora reluctantly admitted it. You deliberately interfered with my lecture without my permission, because you couldn't overcome your own prejudices. Do you admit your mistake? Flora couldn't argue and obediently admitted it. At that moment, he said sternly, Your actions were an undeniable challenge to my authority. Therefore, Flora Lumos, I'm deducting 10 points from you. All the students in the classroom began discussing in confusion, not expecting someone so excellent to receive a penalty. For Flora, it felt like a humiliation. But she couldn't deny her mistake. She could only angrily return to her seat. Applying the carrot and stick approach, he continued, however, the flash fire technique you cast was flawless. I will award you 10 bonus points. I don't dislike capable students. That was very commendable, Flora. She thanked Luger, but her fists remained tightly clenched. Her friends breathed a sigh of relief. In that case, it was as if the 10-point penalty never happened. Her best friend sitting next to her looked at her with concern. Flora smiled back. Thanks for worrying, Cheryl. I'm fine. Can she really get over it that quickly? That's Flora for you. But Cheryl had no idea that while Flora said that, inside she was still extremely upset. Now then, let's officially begin the lesson. I will select a few students who can keep up with the class and teach them source code. If you want to learn it, you'd better work hard. The students, meeting his gaze, didn't dare to slack off. The classroom was silent, with only the sound of his lecture. Sitting in the back, a student looked at him with admiration. Because everyone was saying such strange things about the professor, I was worried I'd chosen a terrible class. But this is amazing. I'm really at Soren. Very quickly, the class came to an end. He told the class to go home and review the material, then left. The other students were leaving their seats, but that one student was still excited, marveling to himself, source code. I can't believe I got to witness something like that. You're all impressed just by seeing that little thing? You're basically admitting you're idiots. That's why commoners can never amount to anything. The student with glasses looked at the blonde-haired guy who had just spoken. The bespectacled guy looked around and realized the other person seemed to be talking to him. He scratched his head awkwardly and said, are you talking to me? The blonde guy angrily snapped, Are you mocking me? No, how could I dare? How dare you ignore me, Ivan, the eldest son of Baron Felio? If you're talking about the Felio barony, isn't that at the farthest border of the empire? Oh, so Soren is even admitting infants now? It's better than admitting some stupid brat from a childish barony. Mocked, Ivan was furious but couldn't find a comeback. And so the young man was about to get violent. How dare you look down on a nobleman? I'll make you pay for this. Seeing the threatening Ivan, the other young man's expression darkened. He said, Go on, try it. Why are you hesitating? Go ahead. You'll see what happens if you attack us. Even if you are a noble, getting away with a crime here in Soren isn't as easy as you think. Weren't you already drawing attention before you even arrived? Also, when you're going to shout, you should at least check your surroundings. Don't you see there are still other people here? He glanced around resentfully, reluctantly muttered a couple of threats, and then left. Watching Ivan leave, the bespectacled guy let out a sigh of relief. Thanks for your help. I'm Eden. I'm Leo. No need to thank me. I just find it annoying when guys like him cause trouble in the name of nobility. You're so kind. Did you hear what I just said? Number, forget it, I'm leaving. Seeing this, Eden quickly tried to follow. Without even turning back, Leo said, "Do you even know where I'm going? What you're holding? That's an alchemy textbook, right? My next class is alchemy, too." Leo didn't answer directly, just sighed and said, "Suit yourself. Also, it would be better if you stopped sending out those signals," Eden asked, confused. Leo replied, "That you're a backwater commoner. The signal that you haven't been properly taught magic." "Is that right? I didn't know much about that. You should also know about what goes on around Soren, especially from the second year onwards. There are many students with outstanding achievements. First is Flora Lumos, a second year. She was the one who went up to the podium during class, right? Isn't she? I heard her personality is terrible, so it's best to stay away from her. There's a rumor that the professor who demonstrated the spell before quit because of her. Next is a descendant of the Exilian Empire's royal family. The third princess, Elida von Exilian. Nothing good will come from commoners like us getting involved with high-ranking nobles. She's in this class too, isn't she? I think I saw her midway through. Exactly. And finally, the leader of the largest noble faction in the second year, Juden von Bach. Von Bach? You mean one of the three ducal families? Yes. They look at commoners like us as if we're insects, so it's best not to get involved with them. Luckily, it seems he isn't in this class. By the way, that idiot from before is also part of that noble faction. So that means I've already been marked by them, huh? Oh man, there's nothing I can do about that either. Is there anyone else? I can't tell if you're brave or just dense. There are still a few more. I'll tell you on the way. Great. Do you want to have a meal together? Why would I do that? The two young men walked away, unaware that someone had overheard their entire conversation. Nearby, Luger was lost in his own thoughts because of that. The reaction was better than I expected. I wasn't hoping for much. The basic time frame of this world is about the 19th century on Earth, even considering the power of magic. It's still severely lacking compared to the explosive development of 21st century science. That's why I integrated science and magic together during its creation. Source code. The truth is, I never thought the reaction would be this intense. The first time the god saw what I created back then, that's all he said. So I didn't expect much. It allows for the quick and precise use of magic, but its ultimate limit is the third tier, and the creation process is incredibly complex. I can't keep relying on the source code if I don't want to be found out. I need to prepare more things. Is this my office? Just as he opened the door and stepped inside, he saw someone was already there. Elisa smiled and spoke first. "Hello, Professor Luger. How do you find it? The interior is quite nice, isn't it?" Faced with this peculiar person, he didn't know how to react for a moment. "Soren provides each professor with a private space. You can do whatever you want here. Is that so? But what brings you here?" "Oh, did I come to a place I shouldn't have?" "Oh, no. I was just a little curious and, to be honest, a bit concerned. Because Professor Luger is one of Soren's most invaluable lecturers. As headmistress, I naturally have to pay special attention to you," she said, staring at him intently again. "Why is it that every time our eyes meet, my body feels all tingly?" she said with a pout. "But your reaction is a little cold." "I was hoping for a more surprised expression from you. I'm sorry to have to say this, but I am plenty surprised. Even running into a ghost at midnight wouldn't be as surprising as this situation. I just opened my door and, why are you here?" To be honest, the other newly accepted professors were all surprised too. "Professor Luger is the last one? You're visiting the professor's offices too, ma'am? Why am I the last one? Unless she's got her eye on something. Even if it's a secret society, for someone to become the headmistress, she must be able to grasp every minor change within Soren. Could it be she suspects me? Asterisk. No, that's not it. But this is really so unfair. I'm not part of the secret society, but it's the duty of the secret society. I heard you're even accepting new students into your classes. Yes, I don't intend to draw a clear line between the different school years. I don't mean to criticize you. In fact, I agree with your method. There are some very talented kids in the first year, including a student who uses unconventional magic. Is that so? I only looked at the students' registration forms. Anyway, because the princess is also attending, please be careful to avoid any potential problems. You don't need to give her any special attention, but it would be difficult if any complicated issues arise. I have high expectations for you, Professor Luger. In any case, I'm glad you finished your first lesson smoothly. The student evaluations weren't bad, so my worries have been eased. At this, he spoke up, inviting her. You should have a cup of tea before you leave, ma'am. And of course, she happily agreed. I appreciate your kind offer, but I still have a mountain of work to get through. I look forward to working with you. With that, She gently closed the door. So how was it? Is Sir Luger trustworthy? To be honest, I'm not so sure. I'm observing the biggest suspect, but I still can't draw a conclusion. Is that so? If the headmistress investigates personally, I'm sure we'll make progress quickly. You think so? Even after facing my enchanting demon eyes twice? I'm surprised he wasn't affected at all. If he were at Tier 4, he certainly wouldn't have been able to avoid it. To show no reaction after looking into Vacania twice. It means he resisted them with willpower alone. An interesting fellow. The train terrorist attack was caused by a group hiding within Soren. I can't afford to miss even the smallest detail right now. What if that attack was just a smokescreen, and the man named Luger was replaced during the chaos? What do you think about that, Mr. Vinford? I cannot say for certain, but I think he is definitely no ordinary man, although that's just an old man's intuition. You know your ability to judge others is very reliable. Of course, if we want to trust Professor Luger, we will have to observe him for a while longer. Meanwhile, Luger, exhausted after dealing with a ticking time bomb, thought, a private meeting, my ass. No matter how I look at it, she came here to interrogate me. Anyway, I haven't done anything to leave a trail yet. Asterisk. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Oh, now that I think about it, the Lumos family is an incredibly influential ducal family. No way. That girl's family wouldn't pressure me over that incident from before, would they? No, of course not. Why would she even care about that? I even gave her bonus points as a way to make peace. By the way, just as the headmistress said, this place has a lot of talented kids. From the newcomers backed by the magic tower to the princess of the empire. Flipping through the documents, a page suddenly caught his eye. So, this is the kid with the unusual magic, huh? But why does this kid look so familiar? Hey, I'll remember later. Anyway, I can't let my guard down yet. From the way she looked at me, I can tell she doesn't completely trust me. Or, would it be better to side with the secret society? That girl from before called me Sir Number 1. No, there's no way she wouldn't know what Luger looked like when he boarded the train. That means she just casually accepted that Luger's appearance had changed. What if the real Luger was a master of disguise and infiltration? Oh no, of course not. I know all too well what will happen to me if I get caught. There's no guarantee they'd save me, even after everything I've done for the organization. Right now, my only choice is to play the part of a professor perfectly. A knock at the door cut through his thoughts. Yes? Hello, Professor Luger. I've come to deliver this item. A patrol certificate? Yes, because today is Professor Luger's patrol shift. Now that I think about it, I believe it was mentioned in the contract. Well, I've delivered it to you. I'll be on my way now. He sat in silence, staring at the paper in his hand. Nothing's going to happen, right? In the training area. What did you say? Repeat that for me. I said there's no reason for me to leave, because this place is free for everyone to use. If you guys feel uncomfortable, why don't you leave yourselves? Are you talking back to me? A commoner like you? Don't you know Soren doesn't classify students based on status and bloodline? You just blindly believe whatever nonsense makes you feel better, don't you? Commoners are so stupid, aren't they, Lady Dynamite? Pathetic little things, just trying to climb up. I already said it. I said it. And the whole group just bursts out laughing at the girl. What's the use? No matter what I say, these people have no intention of listening. You heard that, didn't you? Commoners should get on their knees and beg for forgiveness. Seeing the girl with short blue hair turn her head and ignore her, the young noblewoman grew even more irritated. That peasant is just walking away? Good riddance, Lady Dynamo. She had to run away eventually. Pointless defiance. How dare a commoner just ignore me? A thing like you, how dare you do that, huh? With that, she struck with her wand. A magic circle formed, firing countless bolts of lightning. It was so sudden that her two followers couldn't stop her in time. Caught by surprise, the short-haired girl had no time to react. The lightning struck right in front of her, creating a blinding blue-white flash. When the lightning dissipated, the girl was unharmed. The young noblewoman screamed in fury. Who was that? Who dares to interfere? A calm voice answered her. What do you all think you're doing here? I can't believe you would dare to fight amongst yourselves in a training area dedicated to honing a wizard's skills. No, this can't even be called a fight. I never expected something this serious to happen so soon after the semester started. Soren must mean nothing to you all, I suppose. None of the students below dared to talk back to him. Some looked startled, others subservient. He floated down gently, but his reprimand didn't stop. I would have overlooked a simple argument, but no matter how you look at it, this is one-sided violence. But sir, why would you do that? This is clearly a matter of protecting the prestige. of the noble class. Prestige, he repeated. All students at Soren are equal. It doesn't matter how noble your bloodline is, and for that reason I cannot let this go. Follow me to my office immediately! Seeing her authority dismissed so easily, the young lady became enraged. You bastard! You lowly, washed-up noble! Realizing what she'd just said, she froze. Her followers grew fearful as well. The short-haired girl he had just saved stared at him in confusion. Luger was silent for a long moment. Then, his voice filled with fury, he turned to the student behind him. What did you just say? With just those few words, a powerful aura exploded from him, making the young noblewoman feel as if she were suffocating. He stepped towards her. Say it again. But in the face of such a terrifying presence, she could barely stand, let alone speak. He stood right in front of the noble girl and said slowly, Did you just call me a washed-up noble? The other students rushed to get another professor for help. Seeing the tense situation, Professor Selena moved to intervene, but Luger simply reached out, placed a hand on the young lady's shoulder, and patted it a few times. The oppressive atmosphere from a moment ago vanished. Selena froze, staring at him. You were right. The defiant young lady, Dynamo, looked at the professor in confusion. He continued calmly, Just as you said, I am in fact a washed-up noble. However, this is Soren, and I am a professor at Soren. What you just said was a blatant challenge to a professor's authority. Am I wrong? But you're still just a student. It must be difficult for you, adapting to such a different environment. So I will overlook this. Consider that a warning for your slip of the tongue. Of course, you will still face a fitting punishment for what you did to your classmate. All right, then. Lynn, are you hurt? The girl, Lynn, replied that she was fine, and he seemed relieved. I'll leave the rest to you, Professor Selena. With that, he turned and walked away. Lynn felt her heart pounding in her chest. He remembered. He remembered I was in his class? I was just one commoner out of 80 people back then, the kind of person a professor wouldn't even notice. Remembering Luger, she subconsciously mumbled his words. At Soren, everyone is equal. My first impression was just a scary professor. Asterisk, but I feel like I can trust him and follow Professor Luger. I will do my best. He went outside, sat on a bench, and sighed. For some reason, countless voices suddenly flooded his mind, like a beehive buzzing inside his skull. He took a vial from his coat, shook out a few pills, and swallowed them hastily. I'm alive. I would have been in serious trouble if I didn't have my medicine with me. Why the hell did it have to flare up right at that moment? I almost let them see me in that pathetic state. I first started feeling the headaches during my first year at the training center. Even so, it was still bearable back then, until I stumbled upon that argument. But halfway through, the symptoms got worse. I was planning on leaving quickly. But why the hell did that girl have to shout that line so loud? Of all the damn times, I couldn't just ignore it and pretend I didn't hear. I think I said some pretty applause-worthy lines, but my expression was probably a complete mess. I hope I didn't look too scary back there. That vial I just took was my last one. I should be fine for about 5 days. But situations that require me to use mana could pop up within those 5 days. Using the infirmary would leave a record, and that's too risky. I have to contact him, and fast. The next morning. A werewolf? What are you talking about? That's right, a werewolf. The students who visited Lithos yesterday saw a dark figure roaming the rooftops in the middle of the misty night. I see. An urban legend. But there were witnesses inside Soren, too. Of course, they might have seen something else, but we can't deny the possibility that it's real. After all, a strange phenomenon has also occurred right here at Soren Academy. There are even the 7 ghost stories of Soren. Have you heard of them? So there's really a story like that? Yes, you've never heard of it? Professor Selena, you seem to know a lot about these ghost stories. Hearing him say that, Selena blushed and quickly explained, It's not that I always look into them thoroughly whenever I hear about a ghost story at Soren. It's just that when I want to have a casual chat with the students, I try to think of easy topics for conversation. So that's why I did a little research on those ghost stories. It's not because I have a deep interest in them, and certainly not because I like them or find them fascinating. Yes, I understand. Please, calm down, Marita interjected to save her. By the way, Professor Luger, I heard you demonstrated something incredibly fascinating during your first class. Is that right? A world-shaking magic that can shorten casting time. What was it called again? It's called source code. The conversation between the three of them attracted many of the surrounding teachers who were eager to eavesdrop. That's it, isn't it? Is it for real? He nodded in confirmation. So it actually exists? I can't believe a spell like that is real. Even the teachers who were eating put their spoons down to listen in. Seeing everyone eavesdropping like that, he seemed a bit puzzled. Marita explained, "It's because everyone is interested in your magic, Professor Luger. The rumor has already spread. But is it wise to demonstrate such a groundbreaking spell so openly? That's right, if it's as amazing as they say. You could even get a patent for it from the Magic Tribunal. I don't really care about things like that. It's actually better if he ignores those patents anyway, because without powerful backing, you'd just be waiting to get robbed and beaten." Of course, he had no idea what would happen if the magic tower approached him first. The problem was, all the professors were staring at him with fire in their eyes. Man, those looks could kill. His thoughts drifted back to the story of the werewolf. That night was a full moon. He stood by the side of the road, as if waiting for someone. Could it be wandering around here? Unbeknownst to Luger, the very thing he was searching for was right behind him, staring intently. Having identified its prey, the werewolf lunged. As it pounced, Luger casually dodged to one side. He then smoothly gifted it a kick that sent it flying into a wall. Facing the creature, he had a relaxed air about him, hands still not even in his pockets. "I was wondering why you were so late. Turns out you were waiting to pull a little scare like this." "What? Am I not allowed to live if I don't just stand still and act surprised?" he retorted. "Anyway, long time no see, big brother." Luke smiled back. "Long time no see, Han. You're still causing as much trouble as ever, just like in the old days. What is it this time? Give me a break. You think I like being like this? How was I supposed to know that a dog some strange woman was holding would suddenly chase after me? You were just born to be a comedian. Don't laugh just because it's not happening to you. At this point, I feel like I'm cursed. Han is a human who possesses a very unique trait. Whenever he is bitten by any kind of animal, he absorbs their genes, and then, whether he wants to or not, he transforms into the shape of that animal. Anyway, you brought the medicine, right?" Luger took out a syringe and said, "It's right here." "Thanks, I can't walk around looking like this." Han's large, muscular body began to change. "Without you, I'd have to suffer for days, just like the first time we met. I was on a mission to destroy the Ipodit, but a giant chihuahua showed up and completely surprised me. Thank God it all worked out, or I would have been a goner. Hey, so, this Rudiger guy. Rudiger Chelsea. Now that I think about it, that was the name on the letter, wasn't it? A private tutor? When did you come up with that identity? And another thing, why are we meeting in Lithos Beth when the plan was the Imperial capital? What happened?" That night, Luger told Han everything. The quiet street echoed with his loud laughter. "You're unbelievable. If that were me, I would have been caught immediately. How the hell did you manage to save yourself in a situation like that?" "Well, if I wanted to live, I didn't have any other choice. Besides, that Rudiger guy belongs to some secret society with no known identity." "Right. It's called the First Order. Do you know anything about it?" "It was definitely recent, from what I remember. Some new faces have shown up in the underworld. They call themselves some kind of order. They call themselves some order or another. It must be them. So what's the name of their group?" "The Dark Dawn. That's it. You might have survived on luck, but one mistake is all it takes to get you caught, isn't it?" "Exactly. That's why I need to be prepared. Speaking of which, did you bring the suitcase I asked for?" "Ah, here. You haven't opened it, have you?" "I'd have to be crazy to open your case. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. Come to think of it, Sheridan is waiting for me too." No one thought something like this would happen. Anyway, what's more important is that we both depend on that medicine. We were able to meet right away because you arrived 2 days ago. Why did your letter say I had to wait? What are you talking about, huh? What do you mean? What? The day before yesterday, the rumors about the werewolf started to spread. What? But I just got to Lethbridge today. How could I have been wandering around for 2 whole days? After saying that, the two fell silent for a long moment. Just then, they heard a strange sound. "Hey, that thing over there," Luger nodded. "It's the real deal. A werewolf. Look at its mouth. It's even a genuine limited edition." "I don't think it's noticed us. We should get out of here quick." "No. If we move, it'll spot us. I have a hunch it's looking for the nearest prey." He looked up and noticed the piece of silver on the werewolf's neck. "Hunt, I have to check it out." "Check it out? You want to catch that werewolf? There's something glowing on its neck. Someone must have put it there intentionally. Who would do something like that? That's why we have to check. It's been a long time since I've seen you use this. The last time was when you were still an active hunter. Didn't you have a nickname back then? What was it? Van Azaham? Van Helsing? The werewolf sensed someone approaching and whipped around. He saw Luger approaching the werewolf. It bared its fangs, drooling. It leaped and then landed in front of Luger, growling as it stared him down. Just as I thought. It's wearing a collar. There's a lot I'm curious about, but I'll figure it all out after I've got this beast under my thumb. The werewolf attacked. He calmly stepped back, then cast a spell at the werewolf's feet. The werewolf kept attacking, while he calmly dodged and cast spells. Before long, he was cornered against a wall. Seeing this, the werewolf excitedly charged. Luger waited, neither rushed nor afraid. The corners of his mouth turned up into a smirk. The magic circles he had just cast began to activate, and the werewolf was restrained by the spell. It could only let out a loud roar. A moment later, the werewolf collapsed, unconscious. Its head was ringing with an unbearably jarring noise. Hiding nearby, Han watched in utter amazement. Why did it suddenly act like that? Did it eat something bad? I set up a resonating high-frequency sound in the area. Normal people can't hear it. Its head must be killing it. No need to waste an expensive silver bullet. Now, let's see where this thing was made. Just then, another sound echoed from the distance. It sounds like a lot of people are heading this way. The damn police. Why now of all times? The werewolf, lying on the ground, suddenly sprang up and ran. Looking up, he saw it had already jumped onto the rooftops. Luger threw a chain, the hook catching on the wall. He pulled the chain taut and leaped high. Seeing the werewolf flee, he thought, I'm not letting it get away. The patrol team followed the sound, searching. Over there, there's someone on the roof. Apprehend any suspicious individuals in the area. Meanwhile, Luger was still relentlessly pursuing the werewolf. Even though it was running on all fours, it couldn't escape. The two-legged man gave chase from behind. The werewolf stretched out and took a huge leap, landing on the roof of a train, thinking it had escaped. But no, it turned around to see him landing right behind it. I was only planning on defeating you. The two stood on the train roof, staring intently at each other. He picked up his weapon and said, But you're not giving me any other choice. The werewolf charged in to attack again. He casually threw something that looked like a special kind of hidden weapon. The werewolf, full of aggressive intent, didn't think twice and simply dodged to the side, ignoring the weapon as it continued its charge. But special editions usually have special features. The throwing blade swerved, turning back around to graze the werewolf from behind, forcing it to stop its attack and dodge. Sharp senses. I was planning to finish you off with that last attack. With that, he chanted a spell, preparing for the next assault. As the magical attack arrived, the werewolf simply swatted it away. Seeing his opponent was resistant to magic, the staff in his hand began to spin and change form. He swiped a magical attack behind the werewolf. Luger was giving it one surprise after another. He threw a hidden weapon to open an attack path and rushed forward to strike at the same time. The werewolf met his attack head-on while also dodging his weapon, all in a matter of seconds. In a moment of carelessness, a patch of the werewolf's fur was clipped off by Luger's weapon. Luger seized the opportunity, leaping up and bringing all his force down in a strike to its head with his staff. But the werewolf opened its maw and bit down hard on the staff. It thought that was the end of it, but who would have thought the staff was actually a special blade? He spun his body as if in a dance of death. He aimed precisely for a weak spot and swung the sword. Everything happened too fast for the werewolf to see, leaving it no time to react. It ended with a single sharp slash and a clean cut. And just like that, the werewolf was gone forever. Elsewhere, on a deserted night street, Han ran, holding Ludwig's case, expressing his frustration. We almost got caught. He said he was going to catch a werewolf? But how long is this going to take? As he was running, something suddenly fell in front of him. Looking closely, he saw it was the head of a werewolf. At the same time, Luigi landed in front of Han, startling him. Huh? Please, give me a heads up before you just show up. I almost dropped the suitcase. Hey, wait, is that the werewolf from before? Don't tell me you're planning on just leaving it like this. I already got the information I needed from it, so I don't need it anymore. Then why did you bring it here? I'd say it's because I wanted to startle you. Would you believe me? Still upset about me tricking you, huh? After examining it, it is indeed a cryptid. An artificial cryptid. The product of some experiment. I think I'll proceed with the original plan. Don't tell me you mean that plan from before. Ludiger said seriously, We should settle down here. This place is better than the capital in many ways. We have no choice but to stay here for a while. In Soren? With some unidentified secret organization? And don't forget the lunatics who released these creatures. Since this is a big city, there are bound to be gangs too. That's exactly why it's perfect. Because all those incidents will occupy everyone's attention. And it'll be safer for us. Go and gather important information first. Huh? Are you telling me to do it all by myself? That's right. I'm currently under suspicion, so I can't do anything that looks suspicious. Just gather information and report back to me. Because I'll be staying in the background for this one. Yeah, I get it. It's my specialty. I don't expect everything to go smoothly. Even though I can't make a move right now, I need to gather allies soon as a precaution. Well, that's settled then. Still, it's hard to believe that someone could create a werewolf in this day and age. It has laboratory markings on its body. I don't think some trivial force is behind this experiment. It doesn't matter now. I've already taken care of the werewolves. And now, I don't want to get involved in any more trouble. The next morning, newspapers and media outlets all reported that the unidentified killer in Lithaver was still at large. Last Sunday, 5 more murders occurred in Lithaver. And as a result, the death toll has exceeded 10. The culprit's identity remains a mystery, but a witness said it was a terrifying beast with black fur. The police stated that the culprit is just a deranged murderer. They announced that they would find and capture the culprit soon. Reading the article, Ludiger couldn't help but be shocked. The article mentioned Sunday. He wondered how such a thing could have happened, since he had already dealt with the werewolves on Saturday. Is it possible there's more than one werewolf? The orb on his desk suddenly began to glow. The scene then changes to a conference room where the faculty members are engaged in a rather lively discussion. Ms. Selina waved to Ludwig. As soon as he appeared, the instructors began to whisper and glance at him, some with admiration, some with curiosity, and among them, some with jealousy and envy. Selina whispered, "Have you heard? They're saying 2 first-year students were attacked last night. Luckily, their lives aren't in danger, but both of them were very seriously injured. The wounds look like animal scratches. The student who was conscious said that the thing that attacked them was a terrifying monster. I think the rumors from this past week are true. They also said there were victims in Lithaver, too. The headmaster has arrived. Please be quiet." That was Professor Mary Zoss. She's in charge of pharmacology. She's been at Soren for over 25 years. Elisa entered, and the entire room fell silent. "I've called you all to this emergency meeting because I have something to announce. Some mysterious attackers have appeared in Soren. 2 of our students were seriously injured last night. The identity of the culprit is still unknown, but according to a witness, it was a werewolf, a cryptid." Suddenly, a voice rang out in protest. "That's impossible! Did I mishear you? Did you just say cryptid? Do you have something to say, Professor Hugo Balthazar? This is Soren, a land protected by the Assylian Empire. A werewolf cannot appear in Soren. How can I believe a ghost story being spread among the students? Professor Hugo, did I not just say there were 2 victims? I heard you clearly. That's precisely why I believe it wasn't a werewolf. Weren't both victims of noble lineage?" Elisa immediately understood what he was implying. Without a moment's hesitation, he declared, "I believe the culprit is a Soren student, and I believe that student is a commoner." Elisa frowned, showing her disapproval. He stood up and continued, "I'm asking if it's possible this was caused by a commoner student. Why were only noble students attacked? A werewolf attacking Soren? It's more believable that someone is disguised as a werewolf." Ludiger watched, thinking to himself, "And here I thought the Black Dawn Society would be at a disadvantage. I guess I miscalculated. Unbelievable. They're splitting into factions when their combined strength isn't even enough. Is this the reality of Soren, the most prestigious academy on the continent?" In the tense atmosphere, something suddenly appeared on his shoulder. He looked down to see a small spider model. Looking closer, he realized it was a signal. He fiddled with the small spider for a moment. It held a mini-sized note, like a cheat sheet students use for exams. Unfurled, the tiny paper was covered in text. Magnified, the message read, "3 test subjects have escaped. Eliminate them immediately if they can't be captured alive. If the subjects are caught, your true identity could be exposed." After reading, he paused to think, then casually destroyed the evidence. Without letting anyone notice, he bowed his head, hiding the tears he was forcing back. "Oh God, why are you putting me through this?" Noticing his expression, Selina asked, "Professor Ludiger, are you feeling all right? I wonder if this situation is related to the Black Dawn Society. Judging by their actions, They probably didn't know about this incident in advance either. I'd probably be thrilled if they suffered losses, but the problem is, my identity could be exposed. And if that happens, I can't just sit back and do nothing. I have to eliminate them before Soren does. If I'm not fast enough and they get caught, I'm done for. Back at the meeting, Elisa spoke up. Think whatever you like, Professor Hugo, but please just do your part. So you'll be organizing patrols, is that it? That's right. And please remind the students not to wander around late at night. Feel free to deduct points if you have to. This is an order, in my capacity as headmistress. And with that, the meeting was over. Everyone went to their respective duties, leaving one by one. On his way back, Ludiger suddenly stopped. Stop hiding! Come out! Sedina swallowed nervously and timidly stepped out from behind a tree. He now got a clear look at her, a short-haired girl who seemed rather timid. This was clearly the person who had approached him earlier. Who would have thought she'd come here as a student? He asked coldly, Why are you following me? Let's move first. Follow me. By the way, do you like coffee? Afterward, they went to a coffee shop. Sitting across from each other, he finally had a chance to ask her name. He learned she was called Selena Rogan. Since she had a family name, she likely hadn't enrolled as a commoner. All right, what's your real name? She timidly replied, That is my real name. It's not a fake identity? All right, you must have followed me because you have something to say. Go on. At that, she looked around nervously. He continued, I've already cast a soundproofing spell. We'll be fine unless someone steps into this area. First of all, change how you address me. From now on, don't call me First Order anymore. You weren't planning on calling me that in front of others, were you? That's an order. Now back to the matter at hand. What's the current situation? The recent werewolf incident. At one of our affiliated organizations, a top-secret experiment was being conducted by the Dark Mages of Samsut. Samsut is a group of scientists who were exiled from society for their unethical experiments. I don't know what they were working on, but a few of the test subjects escaped, and one of them happened to make its way to Soren, through the sewer system. So there were victims. At this, Ludiger seemed to have an epiphany. Seeing his reaction, Sedina became worried, bowing her head and apologizing profusely. He told her it was fine and to keep going. She took a breath and continued. The responsibility is theirs alone, so you can blame the incident on them. But I came here because I heard it might be related to Professor Ludiger. You borrowed this name on the orders of another First Order, Victor Defun. Ludiger rubbed his temples. I only borrowed the name. I had no idea things would turn out like this. Well, what's done is done. So it's best we eliminate them as soon as possible, since there are 3 of them. He cut her off. No, there are only 2 left. I've already taken care of one. With that, he showed her the necklace from the werewolf he had eliminated 2 days prior. I had caught one in Lithiver, and she managed to contact me without anyone detecting her. And she even managed to infiltrate as a student? How is someone this talented still just a Third Order? Don't tell me she's being overlooked. It might be because she's a noble. An anti-establishment organization like this wouldn't welcome aristocracy. They'll just squeeze her for all she's worth and discard her soon enough. I just witnessed a crack forming in Soren, but I never expected to see one in the Black Dawn Society as well. Perhaps this incident is an opportunity to get more out of Sedina. Right. You said they're hiding in the sewer system, so I'll start by expanding the search there. Soren doesn't know about this, correct? Yes, that's correct. But we don't know for how long. He nodded. I understand. I've heard what you have to say, Selena Rogan. Let's meet again if the opportunity arises. And you explained it much better this time than when we first met. It was very easy to understand. I'll ask you to do it like that next time. With that, he left, leaving Sedina standing there in silence. Where he couldn't see, the girl bit her lip, suppressing her emotions. Thank you. Thank you. At that same moment, outside the cafe, a student had spotted them. That student even overheard their conversation. He even used magic. What kind of conversation would require him to use magic? What the hell were those 2 talking about? The next day in the lecture hall, Flora's mind was filled with the image from yesterday, the magic she had seen through the window. From its color alone, she could confirm that it was a soundproofing spell. A normal person wouldn't be able to perceive the color or scent of magical power. But why? What were they talking about? Just like that, the instructor closed his book and declared the class over. The instructor also didn't forget to warn the students not to believe the strange rumors and not to wander around too late. If you kids get caught, you'll receive demerits. After that, the classroom erupted with chatter about the werewolf news. Didn't you hear the announcement at the end of class? If we're caught wandering around, we'll be punished. Then we just have to not get caught. The city is also offering a reward to catch that thing. Leo eagerly asked Eden, "What do you think about the werewolf case?" Eden replied, "Getting caught means disciplinary action, so it's best we stay away." "Right, I knew you'd say that. What about you, Leo?" "I don't like acting recklessly either. There's already been a victim. We should just leave it to the professors." Taxi strode over aggressively and slammed the table. Leo looked up and immediately knew something was up. Eden greeted her in a friendly manner. "Hey, Taxi. Good morning." "What's so good morning about it?" "Hey, you lost that time. Shouldn't you just drop it? It was a draw. Besides, could you stop sticking your nose into things between me and Eden? Whatever. Let's have another match. No holding back our powers. I don't think I can fight. I still have morning classes. And at night, we're not allowed to move around because of that werewolf." Taxi challenged. "What, are you trying to run away with that excuse? Are you scared?" After she spoke, both Taxi and Leo stared intently at Eden. He gave a wry smile and replied, "Yeah, let's just go with that." Taxi said angrily, "If we can't fight, we can decide this another way. The werewolf. Whoever catches the werewolf first wins. How about it?" Eden was about to refuse, but Leo quickly accepted the challenge. "Fine. Don't you get scared and run away." "You too. Don't you dare cry if you lose, you hear?" She left. "Leo, why did you say something so absurd?" "I didn't. I was just going along with what she said. Besides, the professors will take care of that werewolf anyway. I think Taxi is dead serious. Come on. Unless she's a complete idiot, why would she do something so stupid all by herself? To be honest, if it's Taxi we're talking about, she just might." After discussing for a moment, both young men suddenly felt a sense of dread. They hurriedly jumped to their feet. The two of them frantically searched for Taxi through the window. "When did she get all the way over there?" That's the way back to the dorms, right?" "Thank God. See, I knew Taxi had some sense." But then Taxi changed her direction. Her determined gaze only reaffirmed her resolve to catch the werewolf. Seeing this, Eden and Leo grew even more alarmed. "Oh no, the wildcat is on the move." "The wildcat!" That night, Ludiger began his hunt. "So many people came looking for me today." He recalled his earlier conversation with Hugo. "On the condition that you will help restore my family's honor." "You want me to look after the noble students?" "I'm just saying we should be a little more flexible. Those conditions aren't so bad." Who would have thought he would become a fallen noble? He must be very worried. In reality, he wants to show me that clinging to the Ministry of Justice is a huge advantage. He thought quickly, then replied, At Theon Academy, there are no royalty or nobility. I have no intention of going against that principle. If you don't mind, I have a patrol to get back to. If I side with them, my identity will be exposed. I have to wonder why I'd even do that. I don't want to get on the Ministry of Justice's blacklist for no reason." As he was walking, he suddenly sensed something. He pushed the bushes aside to find 3 students, secretly eavesdropping. "Weren't you all told to return to your dorms as soon as class was over? All right, 5 demeritus for each of you. That's the 20th group so far. I heard there was a reward, but I never expected so many students would come looking. Threatening them with demerits is useless. The situation could get even worse if this keeps up. I need to take care of that thing before something happens." Near the Theon wastewater plant, he went down to the sewer entrance and scanned the area. Sedina mentioned the werewolf uses the sewer system to get around. This is the only entrance large enough for a werewolf. Looks like no one's been here yet. Using a light spell, he spotted something interesting. Werewolf tracks. And there are 2 sets, one large and one small, heading in the same direction. I hope the trail doesn't disappear midway. He followed the werewolf tracks through a drainage gate, where they began to split. After a while, only the larger set of prints remained. The large tracks are heading toward the academy. It's definitely going there to hunt. This one is the most dangerous one right now. It wouldn't be surprising if someone got attacked right about now. And just as I think that, it happens. A scream echoes from not too far away. I won't make it in time if I stick to these tracks. Fine, I'll just head straight for the scream. It's faster that way. Arriving on the scene, he saw a werewolf attacking 2 students. With the 2 terrified students cornered, he had no choice but to intervene with magic. Caught by the surprise attack, the werewolf couldn't react. The 2 girls were saved in the nick of time as the beast was sent flying by the spell. Ludiger stood before them, an impenetrable wall. He gave them a sense of absolute safety. The 2 students, stunned, realized it was Professor Ludiger. "Renee!" Irendi von Exilian. Hearing their names, they both tensed up. You both receive 5 demerits, Ludiger coldly declared. Hearing this, they were both so shocked their mouths hung open. Hey, wait a minute, Professor. Shouldn't you have asked if we were okay first? And what exactly did you plan to accomplish by screaming like that, huh? I was trying to get the other students to safety. Consider yourself lucky you're still in one piece. Instead of talking back, you should worry about yourself. At least spare this kid the demerits. He was slightly puzzled by that. Renee explained that she had accidentally fallen asleep while studying, which is why she was returning so late. Renee, I admire your diligence, but you should have been more aware of the situation, don't you think? Seeing his sudden gentle change in attitude, Irendi was bewildered. What's with the professor's sudden change in attitude? Hey, Irendi, take Renee back to the dorm. I'll overlook this for both of you. Huh? Professor, are you serious? What, are you refusing my offer? Fine, I'll just assign the demerits then. Irendi immediately reacted. Renee Hubi, let's go. Seeing that their internal squabble was over, the werewolf let out a polite howl and prepared to attack. The 2 students watched the impending fight anxiously, but he remained calm as if it were nothing. The werewolf silently observed its surroundings, thought for a moment, and decided to make a run for it. You 2 should evacuate to a safe location immediately. With that, he quickly gave chase. The werewolf extended its claws and scrambled along the wall. Ludiger shot out a chain, hooking it to the wall and pursuing it closely. Renee looked back at Ludiger's retreating figure, completely in awe. Over there. That's suspension magic, right? The 2 raced all the way to the top of the highest tower and stopped. After a moment of preparation, they both lunged into battle. Though the battle was intense, their movements were fluid and skillful, trading blow for blow. They fought their way off the tower top and landed on a lower roof. The werewolf charged at Ludiger first. With the beast in his sights, he cast a spell. The bright flash of magic disoriented the werewolf, and he seized the chance to leap behind it and launch another magical attack. Renee and Irendi watched in awe. So this is what a mage's battle looks like. Meanwhile, the werewolf somehow lunged right in front of Ludiger and snapped at him. Ludiger dodged with ease, conjured a sphere of magic, and fired a decisive blast at point-blank range. The creature, struck by the blow, fell against the ramparts. Seeing it wasn't down yet, he fired another spell. The magic homed in on its target, sticking into the werewolf's back like a pincushion of quills. The beast slid down the wall and lay still. That was exhausting. Using this much mana is clearly taking its toll, but I had no choice but to use magic while the students were watching. I need to finish this guy off quickly and deal with the others. Just as he got close, the werewolf suddenly struggled up. Covered in wounds, its hand trembling, the werewolf picked up a stone. Seeing this, he immediately realized its intention. The moment it threw, he batted the stone away with his staff. Seeing this method of attack, he grew suspicious. No way! A werewolf that knows how to use tools? The werewolf leaped and brought its fist down, shattering the flagstones. Ludiger swiftly dodged the powerful attack. He leaped high into the air to observe the area below. He reasoned, since that thing was created based on a wolf, it shouldn't possess any intelligence, except for the ability to gauge an opponent's strength. These things, are they really werewolves? The scene changes to somewhere in a forest. The sound of calls for taxi echo. Leo and Aiden have torn the whole forest apart, calling for taxi until their throats are raw, but she is nowhere to be seen. Aiden asks, shouldn't we just give up? We can't find her anywhere. Taxi must have gone back on her own. What? She's just gone? If we can't find her, if something happened, it'll be all our fault. Do you really believe Taxi is still out here looking for the werewolf? I don't know about anyone else, but Taxi would. Hearing this, Leo let out a weary sigh. All right, fine. Let's look for her for another 30 minutes. If we still can't find her by then. He didn't even finish his sentence when they both suddenly heard a piercing scream. Did you hear that? That's Taxi's voice. The 2 of them quickly ran towards the sound. While running, Aiden sensed something rushing towards them. It seemed the other person was also running at high speed, making it impossible to dodge. The 2 of them collided and fell to the ground. Leo ran over worriedly to check. When they got a closer look at who ran into them, the 2 young men realized it was Taxi. She looked bewildered and asked, "What are you 2 doing here? I just heard a scream." Hearing this, Taxi shot back, "A scream? That never happened. But wait, what's that sound?" Taxi signaled for everyone to be quiet and follow her. The 3 of them crept behind a bush. Is that a werewolf? Looking closer, they saw it was a werewolf cub. Taxi said proudly, "Well, I won the bet, didn't I? You only found it. The bet was to catch it. Fine, I'll just catch it right now then. Seeing Aiden about to say something, Taxi responded coldly, What now? I just figured you wouldn't want to lose. It's not that. I think that thing is injured and can't move. That's why it's hiding under a pile of leaves in such a hard-to-find spot. Do you think it could have hidden itself like that? Are you saying there's another werewolf around here? I'm not sure, but if someone helped it... As he was speaking, he suddenly noticed a necklace around the werewolf cub's neck. What's that? There's something on its neck. While the three were distracted, the parent werewolf returned from behind them. He felt a strange breathing sound from behind. Leo was quick to spot the werewolf first. He shouted for Aiden, managing to save him, but he himself was injured by the werewolf's attack. Leo was hit hard, sent flying a few meters. Seeing the werewolf up close, Taxi was too terrified to stand up. She tried to calm her trembling body. Stay calm. I have to deal with this werewolf. I have to do this to restore my family's name. Her will was as strong as steel, but it all shattered the moment the werewolf stared straight at Taxi. As it swung its claws at her, Aiden luckily lunged forward, pulling her out of the way. She looked at her friend, momentarily stunned. Leo, injured and leaning against a tree trunk, watched with extreme worry. Aiden calmly asked Taxi, Are you okay? Taxi, bewildered, asked, Why? Why did you help me? What do you mean, why? My friend was in danger. How could I just stand by and do nothing? Turning back to the werewolf, its massive body had already leaped in front of them. Aiden calmly stood in front of Taxi to shield her. Don't worry. I think it's only angry because it thinks its cub is in danger. Then he spoke to the werewolf. I'm right, aren't I? We didn't mean any harm, did we? Both Taxi and Leo thought Aiden was doing something pointless. How could a werewolf possibly understand what he was saying? Aiden paid them no mind and continued to soothe the werewolf, saying that they wouldn't do it any harm. And yet, the werewolf actually seemed to understand him. It stopped bristling and turned to find its cub. It went over to the small bush and looked at its weak child. See, I think it was just furious because of its child. It actually understood what you said? But how do we know it won't get angry again? Leo. Taxi. I know what I'm saying is a little hard to believe, but please, trust me this one time. With that, he approached the werewolf, continuously reassuring it as he got closer. The little one. It's very weak, isn't it? The effect might be small, but this should help your child feel a little better. The werewolf quietly reached out its hand to take the medicine. The moment the werewolf's hand was about to touch the vial, 2 spears of light appeared from nowhere, piercing through the werewolf. The peaceful atmosphere instantly turned to chaos. The powerful light grew from 2 beams to 3. Amidst the werewolf's roars, the light wrapped around it like ropes, restraining it. Ludwig stepped out and called the names of the 3 students, his voice stern as he questioned them. What are you kids doing here? Leo and Taxi looked at him as if they had seen a ghost. They stammered for what felt like an eternity, unable to explain. He walked up to the students and told them to step back, but Aiden stood in front of the werewolf, shielding it. Professor, please wait a moment. I think that werewolf understands human language. So please reconsider eliminating it. What nonsense are you spouting? It's not nonsense. It might really be that werewolf. He glared at Eden. Faced with his terrifying gaze and overwhelming pressure, Eden was shocked into silence. He decisively pushed Eden behind him, leaving her bewildered and confused. When she looked again, he had already cast a fire spell, ready to incinerate the werewolf. Seeing the blazing flames before her, an indescribable heaviness washed over Eden. Ludiger was the first to speak. I will punish you all for this transgression tomorrow. Now, return to the academy. The next morning, the 3 of them were summoned to the office. Leo was tense, letting out an occasional groan. We're so dead. We are so dead. Of all the people who could have caught us, why did it have to be Professor Ludiger? Taxi sat there, overthinking. I only made a tiny mistake. I didn't even take the lead on anything, but I still shouldn't have been there. As this thought crossed her mind, she glanced at Eden, who seemed to be pondering something deeply. A moment later, the headmaster entered, beaming, greeting her beloved students. Ludiger escorted her from behind. Seeing the headmaster in person, the group grew even more bewildered. Elisa smiled gently and said, Now. Please, sit down and make yourselves comfortable, you 3. The headmaster came here herself. This means we're not just getting a normal punishment. Do you 3 know why I've called you here? It seems you aren't planning on just giving us demerit points, are you? That's correct. You need to understand just how reckless your actions last night were. If things had gone even slightly differently, someone could have died. Now there's no need to look as if your world is ending. And Professor Ludiger, you shouldn't frighten the students like that. Ma'am, this is not a matter to be taken lightly. But it all ended well, did it not? Besides, you've already explained the situation to me in detail, Eden. I heard you saved. Who was it again? I am certain you all recognize that your actions were dangerous and misguided, so I have decided to give each of you 10 demerit points. However, I cannot fault you for how you acted in a crisis. I can't. Therefore, I've decided to award each of you 20 bonus points. Professor Ludiger, do you have any objections? If that is your wish, ma'am. Well then, please continue to work hard in the future. As the 3 troublemakers left, Aden looked at him, as if searching for something. She recalled the image of him from the previous night, comparing it to how he was now, lost in thought. After the students had all left, Elisa spoke. Are you satisfied now, Professor Ludiger? I never thought you'd ask me to look out for those kids. Thank you, ma'am, I did it. Because if they knew it was my suggestion, it wouldn't suit my image. I see. But was there really nothing strange about those werewolves? No. No matter how hard I try to recall, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Then I suppose there's nothing to be done. Regardless, I thank you once again. Thanks to you, there were no casualties. I'll be looking forward to your future accomplishments. After his conversation with the headmaster, he returned to his room and began to organize his thoughts. The thing that bothered him was the small werewolf. Its form, it was far too much like a child's. That was clearly the body of a human who hadn't fully transformed into a werewolf. But they don't create werewolves from wolves. They capture humans and transform them. I don't regret my choice. I would have been in danger if I hadn't eliminated them. Furthermore, they harmed others. That fact doesn't change. Is that why they became like that? And yet, at that moment, the small werewolf had stepped forward and smiled, as if it had been liberated. That image remained seared into his mind. He took a communication device from his coat, called Han, and said, I have a proposal. Scene change. Who would have thought we'd get bonus points instead of demerits? Is your hand okay? They said I just needs to be careful for a few days. Taxi noticed Eden's crestfallen expression. What are you so worried about, Eden? Eden replied, I'm not worried, but do you remember that small werewolf from yesterday? There was a strange cord around its neck. Hearing this, Leo and Taxi were completely shocked. Eden continued, That's also why I stopped Professor Ludiger, just in case someone was creating them artificially. Huh? Artificially? Now that you mention it, I did hear a strange rumor. They say some suspicious people are hiding out in Soren. Isn't that just some baseless rumor? I'm not so sure anymore. A werewolf with a cord around its neck is definitely strange. Right. And there's something else. Taxi cut in. You're talking about Professor Ludiger, aren't you? Exactly. I don't want to suspect him, but his expression last night was a bit strange. At that moment, it was like Professor Ludiger suddenly saw something. So you think Professor Ludiger is trying to hide something? I'm not sure, but I think the professor must know something. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Because a professor from Soren has no reason to do something like that. But what if it's true? What if Professor Luther is really involved in that rumor? Taxi sharply cut through his tangled train of thought. Are you dense? You're thinking way too much. Don't you remember what the headmistress said? She said Professor Luther explained the situation in detail. If he were what you guys claim, why would he do that? He pretends not to show it, but Professor Luther has definitely been looking out for us. And now you're doubting him? I think you're right, Taxi. Yeah, we don't need to worry about it. More importantly, I am hungry. Let's go get something to eat. It's lunchtime anyway. Let's go, Taxi. At his invitation, Taxi suddenly became flustered. Well, eating together is what friends should do. I mean, we are friends, right? Those words made Taxi's heart skip a beat, her face slowly turning red. All right, then. I'll go with you. Watching the two lovebirds flirt back and forth, Leo could only sigh. Here at Luther's office. Have you looked over the documents I sent? I've seen them. The current missing persons in Littlever, and in the areas where people gather, a group of bigwigs has been coming and going from a nearby abandoned factory. I'm sure that's the place. Yeah, good work. I also looked into the information you mentioned. I heard a few workers have gone missing outside the city recently. Was a family of 3 among them? That's the only case where an entire family went missing. I see. I understand. I'll head there soon. That very night, as everyone was sound asleep. This is boring as hell. How much longer do we have to stand here? I'm not sure. About 2 days, I guess. How the hell did those bastards escape anyway? But even if they escaped, what's going to happen to them? That kid doesn't have enough of the drug. They took him out to up the dosage, but he screamed and cried and made a huge scene. The problem is, no one realized his parents would go berserk if they saw that. His parents? They've already turned into werewolves. And they still care about their kid? Yeah, that's why they busted out of there and ran. Looks like they got some trustworthy person to handle this for them. Either way, that means the little brat is the reason we're having such a hard time, right? You got that right. If I had been there at the time. As he was speaking, a sound suddenly echoed in the darkness. The sound drew closer and closer. The two men nodded to each other, signaling their hands on the guns at their hips, ready to fire. Before either of them could even see where the sound came from, they were taken down by 2 merciful blows, collapsing on the spot without a single cry. Luther slowly stepped out. He was wearing tactical gear, his face concealed, making him difficult to identify. Having heard their conversation, his eyes grew even colder. Earlier, he had a meeting with Han. You're here. Look at the way you're dressed. You seem well prepared, huh? Are you going alone? Luther immediately replied, And if I asked you to come? Han thought for a moment. I think I could probably take down 1 or 2 of them. Never mind, I can handle this alone. How many people are there? About 40. They're preparing to leave. So if you're late by just 3 days, all this will be for nothing. What's their combat strength like? It's best to act as if every single one of them has a gun. There are 3 with power armor and 2 mages. You can get in through the sewer pipe. Please be careful. Han, about the child. I was asked, how old is he? You mean the child? 7 years old? A child. Filled with fury, he stepped inside. From behind, his silhouette looked like the Grim Reaper about to go to work. He would pat each one on the head. Darkness swallowed his form, leaving only screams of every pitch, deep, soaring, and sharp, to ring out after a clamorous uproar. Now it has grown somewhat quiet. Guns and weapons. Every last one of them lay dead, scattered a few meters behind his heels. A few insects buzzed around. A hornet was observing, collecting images of the scene. At the headquarters, everyone's busy moving supplies. It seems a rat has snuck in. Is he from security? Stop what you're doing and send someone out there to take care of it. Looks like he's not from security. But that's even better. It means nobody will care if he croaks here. Right on cue, the guards at the door opened fire frantically, but the more they shot, the more they realized they were just wasting ammo, because he had a magic shield. After all, those slugs were just little iron pellets, and every single one was blocked. He's a sorcerer. Guns are useless against him. Bring out the knives. While they were still scrambling for knives, Lutger lifted his coat and drew his gun. Unafraid, the men just mocked him. You idiot! If bullets don't work, a weapon like that is useless. Before he could finish crowing, Lutger planted a round right between his eyes. Only then did they realize it was a special gun. No, wait, those are magic bullets. Those... Get out of the way, it's my turn. Even if he is a sorcerer, this thing will finish him off. As he spoke, a man in protective gear stepped forward, carrying a large electrical weapon. He opened fire, laughing maniacally. How's that taste, huh? But no matter how much he fired, Lutger stood there, completely unfazed, as if the electrical current was being completely absorbed by his magic. Metal attribute magic and alchemy? Damn it. High-voltage electricity is useless against metal attribute magic. With a loud crack, the power pack on the man's back was shattered by a single shot from Lutger. He thrashed around in panic. The power pack was broken, and high-voltage electricity was leaking everywhere. The man just stood there, convulsing, his jaw locked as he could only let out agonizing screams. Including that last one. I've dealt with 20 of them. I suppose so. He then noticed something buzzing that had been following him. Without even turning his head, he drew his gun and shot the bee down with perfect accuracy. I knew someone was watching, so they're watching me through an insect. Using bugs for surveillance. Could the infamous Insect Brothers be behind this? I guess they must be waiting for me inside. Should I take care of these insects first? He stomped his foot, releasing a wave of magic that radiated outwards like an electromagnetic pulse. The bees buzzing around him all lost connection at once and dropped to the ground. As the swarm fell lifelessly, their controller suddenly lost. Any information or video feed, all signals from the insects were gone. Right before I lost the feed, I felt a tremor. A magical frequency. Was that from wind magic? He uses both metal and wind attributes? Not bad at all. The smaller insects are weak against the wind attribute. I guess I'll have to send in the bigger ones. Baron, get ready. A huge, muscular man stepped forward, ready for a fight. Others were also fully armed, waiting for Lutger to open the door. Based on his trajectory, he'll definitely come through here. Let's give him a real warm welcome when he gets here, shall we? The door creaked, and the room fell silent. Suddenly, the lights went out. The men panicked, fumbling around for the light switch. "Brother, I think this is that bastard's doing!" When his brother didn't answer, he looked over. His brother was standing there silently, only his head was missing. Looking down, he saw the head roll to a stop at his feet like a ball. Terrified, he leaped away. "Damn it! He's already in here? The lights only just went out. I have to strike before this gets any worse!" A massive centipede he had just released was instantly sliced in two. At that moment, he finally saw Lutger behind him. He lunged forward to deliver the finishing blow, but he managed to dodge. A sorcerer who fights in close quarters? What kind of sorcerer is this guy? This is dangerous. I need to create some distance. Seeing his opponent trying to back away, Lutger immediately cast a spell to cut him off. The man recognized it instantly. "That's Blaze. He cast it that quickly?" The blaze struck in waves. Flames leaped onto his clothes, quickly engulfing his entire body. Even rolling on the ground did nothing to quell the fire. Lutger walked towards him. The others watched from the sidelines, too afraid to interfere. The insect controller, burned down to his bones, growled out curses. Staring down the barrel of the gun pointed at him, he screamed, "Who the hell are you?" His answer was the cold sound of a gunshot. And just like that, the insect brothers were easily dealt with. Then he glanced over at the men behind him. He watched as the terrified group swallowed hard, gripping their shields tightly and taking a few trembling steps back. With astonishing reflexes, he dodged to the side, avoiding the attack. A massive insect leg had just burst out of the headless corpse. The body grotesquely twisted as it got to its feet, a horrifying sight. A wicked, smiling mouth appeared in the palm of its hand. "Ouch, that hurt." That? You look surprised. I didn't expect a surprise attack like that. You finished off Brino before I could even assume my insect form? Tisk, tisk. As if getting my head chopped off would do anything. My body has undergone a superior evolution. He's surpassed human limits. His body evolved through 6 stages, bloating grotesquely before tearing apart its human form, evolving into a bizarre, colossal creature. Its huge, sharp insect-like legs pinned it to the floor. "I don't mourn my brother's death, but I will tear you into 100 pieces to make you pay for this. Everyone run!" The monster paid little attention to the people nearby. Instead, it rushes to attack first. Don't you care about your subordinates at all? If you're so worried about them, then just stand still. He drew his gun and fired a few shots, but its hide was too tough. To it, the bullets were like mosquitoes biting stainless steel. He dodged all of its attacks, trying to maintain his distance. Then he tried attacking with a fire blast. Its body was huge, yet incredibly agile. It leaped up to dodge the spell while opening its mouth to snap at him. How did it dodge that with such a massive body? That monster cornered him, its pincer quickly clamping down on him. He kept using the fire blast, trying to escape its grip. He thought that activating magic at point-blank range like this would surely be a decisive blow, but it wasn't. Its face emerged without a single scratch. Unbelievable, it's fine after a direct magic hit. It held him tight, excitedly tormenting Lutger. "If you want to roast me, then you'll have to use at least 4th-tier magic." With that, it laughed maniacally, repeatedly slamming him into the stone wall as it reveled in the joy of a victor. But when the smoke and dust cleared, Lutger had vanished. It looked around in confusion, searching. As it looked up, it saw a massive iron bar falling toward it. It immediately used its powerful pincer to snap the iron bar in two. In a flash, Lutger appeared behind it. "Well, now, you're pretty fast, aren't you? Like a winged bug. Neither the gun nor 3rd-tier magic works. It won't give me a chance to use a 4th-tier spell, will it? I didn't want to use this either." Hearing him say that, the monster grew curious. He gathered his magic and said, "I have no other choice. Good luck to you." Meanwhile, Han stood outside in the cold, muttering, "I really should have dressed warmer before coming here. It must be about time for the fight to end. It's really taking a while. Is it that hard fighting 2 dark wizards at once? But he's not the type to die here." Suddenly, Han noticed a dazzling light from behind. The base that Lutger infiltrated emitted a blinding light. A moment later, a huge explosion echoed from the base. Did he finally use it? His true magic or something? What kind of technique is that? Magic is just magic, isn't it? What the hell am I even saying, true magic? Oh, are you done already? I've taken care of everything, including the test subjects. They really can't be turned back into humans? Yeah, it's best to send them off painlessly. So this is it, huh? The drug used to turn humans into werewolves. The world has become a terrifying place. Unbelievable. To think there's a large-scale human experiment like this. But they couldn't have done it without someone funding them from behind the scenes. If that's the case, don't worry. I've already found out who's funding them. You're saying you found them? How is that possible? Ah, well, not exactly. Never mind. It's not like I can stop you anyway. I'm heading back to the hideout first. Lutgirl stood there in silence for a long while. Behind him, the scene. Many bodies lay among the evidence, all consumed by the flames. Elsewhere. You bring this thing up here and tell me it's food? All you people think about is lining your own pockets. None of you can do your jobs. You're all worthless trash, a bunch of idiotic scum. Not a single one of you can do your job properly. I've poured so much money into this, and they can't even manage the test subjects properly. I don't know who did it, but it's a good thing that subject was dealt with. The results of the experiment will be in my hands soon enough, and its ultimate purpose will be ready for me to use. Besides becoming younger, I'll also become stronger and more perfect when I use that drug. The youth I spent climbing to this position will... In the blink of an eye, Lutgirl appeared right behind the man. His voice, low and steady, called out the man's name, clear and distinct. Ben Forrison. The man turned his head, staring blankly at the stranger. Lutgirl didn't explain. He just flew forward, grabbed the old man by the neck, and slammed him to the ground. What the hell? Where are the guards? It doesn't matter how much you call. They won't come. I've soundproofed this entire room. Ben Forrison, I'm going to ask you a question. There was a 7-year-old boy who had to survive the harsh reality when he and his parents were turned into monsters. The child smiled at the person who was about to eliminate him. The child smiled as if he was grateful for it. The feeling of someone with no choice but to let the flames consume him. What do you think that person felt? Faced with his questioning, the man seemed unnervingly calm. So you're the one who disposed of those test subjects. There must be some misunderstanding. Let me go, and we can talk this over. Are you worried because you eliminated those subjects? Don't bother worrying about those worthless runts. So what if you killed a few? We were giving them a chance to add some value to their useless lives. This opportunity contributed to the advancement of humankind. Isn't that a truly noble sacrifice? Right. It doesn't matter anymore. That answer was enough. With that, he plunged a blood injector into the man's neck. The red liquid was immediately pumped into his body as he watched with cold eyes while the man convulsed on the ground. Your answer was so complete that I can't even feel angry anymore. You bastard! What did you do to me? I read the reports in the laboratory. They were actually quite interesting. A drug that can transform a human into a werewolf with just a tiny dose. And suddenly, a question popped into my head. What would happen if I used an entire vial? He clutched his throat, wheezing. His gaunt body suddenly swelled, his jaw widened, and claws and fur began to sprout. In just a few seconds, he had transformed into a grotesque monstrosity. Not a werewolf anymore. I can understand how he feels. A terror that radiates from the very depths of his soul. Therefore, you should understand the pain of the people you've harmed. With such a loud noise coming from inside the house, the soldiers and servants of the household quickly ran over to see what the commotion was. What was that noise? It's coming from Lord Belford's room. The moment they anxiously pushed the door open, what appeared before their eyes was a monster. Huge, hairy, and grotesque. It's a monster. Where did this thing come from? Just kill it first. If you can't use magic, go find Lord Benford. Hurry, all magic users, focus your fire and burn that huge monster alive. Engulfed in flames, the monster thrashed violently, letting out a deep, guttural roar. Meanwhile, in a small room in a deserted alley, what is all this? Take as much as you want, use it for your work. Hide it well afterwards. It took a lot of effort to find this hideout. Why don't you take a look around? Maybe next time. I'll be back anyway. By then, I'll be using a different identity, one more suited to this underworld. All right then, get some rest. Goodbye, Han. After that, Lut returned to the academy alone. He walked slowly, taking in the peaceful night, his eyes fixed on a column of smoke rising in the distance. His fists clenched as he steeled his resolve, the purpose in his heart growing ever clearer. The next day, reporters swarmed the mansion, scrambling to take pictures and get a scoop. By the time security arrived, there was no sign of Rickson at all. Only the monster remained. I guess the rumors about Rickson using forbidden arts must be true. Let's go spread the word. What about the monster? I heard the magic security team already took care of it. They say it took them over an hour to put that beast down. A white-haired individual led the security team to the scene. The surrounding crowd quickly parted to make way. The night engineering team was with them as well. Their leader is the guardian captain of the engineers, Tarina Lai. Man, I never thought national security would get involved in this. Could it be that serious? This is big news. We should report that the engineering team is cooperating with national security on the investigation. The girl with long, flowing white hair approached the guard. She spoke curtly. "Open the gate. My orders are not to let anyone in." She glared, her face stern, and repeated, "Open the gate." The terrified guard didn't dare argue and immediately opened it. As the gate swung open, she led the way. Her subordinates entered the mansion to investigate. The inspector inside had been waiting for some time. "Captain Tarina, it's an honor to meet you. I am Inspector Taborin." "All right, you've done well. From this point forward, the security division will be taking over the investigation of this case. You are to hand over all collected documents and evidence and then withdraw." The inspector asked no further questions and immediately complied. The protection squad quickly withdrew, leaving only personnel from the security division in charge. Once they were certain no one else was inside, the brown-haired girl behind her finally let out a sigh of relief. Man, the tension in there was real. The guy with the glasses behind you thinks you have no dignity, Enya. Loy, who cares about appearances when no one is watching? Besides, even if there's no one around, things should be done properly. You should conduct yourself as a member of the Dark Knights. Come on, Loy, as long as the media doesn't see any misconduct, we're fine. Don't forget why we're here. So this is the monster, huh? Quite a sight. Benford was rumored to have dabbled not only in forbidden arts, but in heresy as well, so when I heard he was eliminated by a monster, this was clearly not just an ordinary case. A monster appeared. Benford was eliminated. That's what the witnesses claimed, and this monster's corpse makes it all seem pretty plausible. One look is all it takes to see it was burned to the very bone. There's no way for us to identify the body. Then let's take a look around the room. Tarina stood before a picture on the wall. A small mark on the wall. It wasn't burned? She nudged the picture frame and a secret door immediately opened. Oh, so there's a hidden room, but there's nothing in here. Judging by its size and location, though, this would be the perfect place to hide a safe. Ben Forrison was known as a tycoon involved in a lot of shady business, so it's no surprise he had plenty of secrets. Exactly. He would hide documents where only he could find them. There was definitely a safe here. Until last night, at least. You can still see the marks where the safe used to be. It was moved just recently. A tycoon's mysterious death, the appearance of a monster, and a missing safe? This is no mere coincidence. I can only conclude that someone else interfered in Benford's death. But what was their goal? Why go to such lengths to cover it up? The only person I know with this kind of skill is Arsène Lupin. Loy looked confused. Who's that? She shook her head and replied, It's nothing. Loy, have there been any other strange cases in Lithover recently? Yes, there was one. An abandoned factory was recently burned down. Actually, it happened shortly before Benford's death last night. There might be a connection. Let's go, we'll head there now. Back in his office, a piercing sound echoed in his head. The after effects of that spell are not to be underestimated. That spell requires far too much mana. It's a good thing I prepared a potion in advance, otherwise I would have been in serious trouble. After taking the special potion, the headache subsided. I burned those werewolves to ash and destroyed all the evidence. At least for now, I don't have to worry about them anymore. Ah, no. Actually, there is still one person. Eden. He tried to stop me right up to the very end while I was dealing with the werewolves. Eden was the one closest to me at the time, too, even though I destroyed the evidence immediately. Just for a moment, it was like he saw something. Damn it, I never expected things to get this complicated. Who's to say he won't go around running his mouth? If that's the case, the best solution would be to deal with this carefully. Perhaps I should just eliminate him, too. As he thought this, his eyes filled with killing intent. He remembered how Eden had tried to reason with the werewolves. Then, he tried to calm himself, thinking he couldn't possibly harm one of his own students. The risk would be too great. Besides, the kid is special. He's being monitored personally by the headmaster. If something were to suddenly happen to him, I would become the headmaster's prime suspect. After thinking for a moment, he decided to give his mind a rest. But still, on second thought, he knew that as a child he learned a special kind of magic from a wandering sorcerer. Could that really be a coincidence? Meanwhile, Tarina's group arrived at the scorched area from the previous night to investigate. It's been completely destroyed. It's going to be hard to investigate anything in this condition. Why would an abandoned factory suddenly burst into flames? And at the same time as Benford's death, no less. Perhaps this factory was still operational, just disguised as abandoned. I think so too. It wouldn't have just spontaneously combusted otherwise. What if some dark mages and heretics were discovered while they were scouting this place, so they burned it down to destroy it? That actually makes sense. But we don't know who could have discovered them. We had no plans to investigate this location. You mean they were hiding evidence from someone else? But would they really go to such lengths? Or is this all just a coincidence? Or it could be due to other reasons. Aside from this case, have there been any other incidents of note recently? None, but the werewolf that caused a commotion a few days ago has now appeared at the academy. According to the report, it entered through the sewer system where security was lax. That's not particularly surprising, but are the students there safe? What happened to the werewolf? 3 students were injured, and after that, the werewolf was taken care of. A professor there handled it, as expected from a Thion professor. Have they handed over the werewolf's corpse? There's no corpse left because it was completely incinerated. Incinerated? How convenient. Are you trying to confirm something? Do we need to go to Theon? No, we need to focus on gathering evidence first. A factory and a werewolf, both incinerated. Although saying the 2 incidents are related based on just that is a bit of a stretch. But I won't rule out the possibility. Every threat to the kingdom must be rooted out. That is precisely why we of the Night Guard exist. Professor Lutger was the one who defeated that werewolf? He's from the military and even participated in the campaign to annihilate the sorcerers. I knew from the start he wasn't just some ordinary guy. Renee looked around for an empty seat, but the place was packed. She had no idea where to sit. There was an open spot in the middle, but it looked like they weren't about to make room for her. After that incident, everyone was avoiding her. She scanned the room one more time and, thankfully, she found an empty seat. Looking at the person next to it, she immediately recognized Elodie. The friendly princess smiled and waved a greeting. "Hello, how have you been?" Reyna timidly sat down next to Elodie. Oh my God, how dare she sit next to the princess? And acting all friendly, too. When did they become so close? Seeing Elodie next to me reminds me of the night we ran into the werewolf. I hope Professor Rutger is okay. Don't worry, he's a professor at Theon. Wait, it's so late, why are you still out here? After she explained everything, Elodie became furious. What the heck? Nobody woke you up? That's unforgivable. I'm going to teach that librarian a lesson he won't forget. It's okay, really, it was my fault for carelessly oversleeping. By the way, why is the princess here at this hour? I came out to guide the students back to the dorms. The princess herself is doing it? Just call me senior, that's fine. At Theon, everyone is equal, aren't they? I can't believe even a princess has to do patrols and can chat so casually with a commoner like me. Still, sitting next to her is making me so nervous. One wrong move and I'm a goner. The classroom door swung open and Lutger strode into the lecture hall. His deep voice resonated. Class will now begin. Today I will be lecturing on manifestation characteristics, the fundamental principles and laws of elemental attributes. The elemental attribute is one of the 4 manifestation characteristics. It is the most common and important one, the absolute basics that most of you should have already learned. Therefore, today I will teach you a new method. Flora glanced at the paper, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. A new method? What is he planning this time? A method to increase the power of your elements. From 20% to 80%? Is there really a method like that? He can't be lying to us, right? Anthony, which elements can you use? The student hastily replied, I can use water, ice, and wood. Then summon the element you are most confident in. The student immediately gathered an amount of elemental energy in his palm. He assessed it. Passable. Fearing the student would misunderstand, he added, by which I mean it's nothing special. Now, watch closely. I will only do this once. He then gathered elemental energy with one hand. The energy quickly condensed into a large sphere, which then took the form of a large, glittering snowflake in his hand. What the? Is that really the same magic? The level of mastery is on a completely different level. It seems you're all interested now. I will explain the theory first. Flora watched with a stoic expression as he presented what he wanted to introduce. Because elemental attributes have a long history in the field of manifestation, they were once called the foundation of all forms of magic. Pure magic is now also considered a part of manifestation. They were the first 4 great elements. Compared to the more than 10 elements we currently have, 4 is a very small and simple number. Now, does anyone know why elemental magic developed to such a degree? I will award 5 points to whoever gets it right. Let's take the fire element as an example. Students eagerly raised their hands to speak. It's because fire is used to drive away the darkness. It's used to burn and clear forests. It's used to dispel the fear. That is instinctual to humanity and the dark. A very creative idea. I think you'd make a fine poet. All right. Flora Lumos. To burn and liquidate others. Correct. To burn with fire, drown in water, cut with wind, and shock to death with lightning, war and slaughter. These are the very reasons for the development of magic. However, in the flesh-biting cold, fire is a symbol of life, not destruction. Water is used to power water wheels and grindstones. Wind and lightning are used to illuminate the darkness. The purpose of the elements can always change based on human action to fight for a better world. That is the mindset you must possess before learning about elemental attributes. Now, we will begin the lesson. Everyone, create an elemental sphere. Joseph, focus on the flow of your magic. For a second-year student, the magical power you're creating is surprisingly inexperienced. You call that a wood attribute? It feels like a rotten leaf that fell to the ground in late autumn. Think of a young sapling just sprouting from the earth. As everyone was creating their climbing spells, they noticed Aiden next to them. Aiden was flustered. He had no idea about any of this. Luther noticed him too and walked over. He stared intently at the student before him, thinking, "What's with this kid? Is he trying to defy me? Is it because of that incident with the werewolves?" But looking at his expression, that can't possibly be the reason. "Aiden, you don't have any experience manifesting elements, do you?" He answered, flustered, "No, Professor, I'm very ashamed." Understanding the reason, he let out a sigh of relief. A special admission student who lacks even the most basic knowledge. Even though he's been recognized as special, it's not my responsibility to look after someone who can't even do the basics. It wouldn't be a problem to just let him fall behind the rest of the class. But since when did my conscience become so bothersome? Tell me, what elemental attributes can you use? You at least know that, don't you? Yes, sir. Fire, water, and wind. Then try the fire element first. That means I'm going to teach you. I can't just abandon a student from the very beginning. Focus your magical power. You can at least manifest the basics, right? Now, think about converting that magic into an element. As I said, the fire element. Don't just think about it. Try to feel the properties of flame with all your senses. Aiden closed his eyes and concentrated as Luther's deep, warm voice guided him. Think of the most brilliant fire in your memory. Its shape, its sound, its smell, its feel. Everything. Slowly, a small spark ignited within Aiden. He remembered the fire element from the small, cozy corner of the kitchen during a snowstorm, the slightly bitter smell of half-burnt wood and the scent of charcoal, the aroma of stew simmering on the stove, the sound of my two sisters grumbling, Mom's anger, and Dad's smile when he had just come home. There was so little food, and the biting cold wind pierced through my old, worn-out clothes. It was a harsh, cold winter, but the fire in the hearth soothed everything. That warmth, it feels as real as if it were yesterday. Luther's voice of approval woke him from the stream of happy memories. A flickering flame had appeared. He stared in bewilderment at the fire he himself had created, and he was overjoyed. Luther looked at the flame, a rare gentleness in his eyes. Not bad. This fire isn't hot, but warm. It doesn't bring destruction. Instead, it has a soft feeling. I can guess what you were thinking about. The other students, seeing this, were utterly astonished. Professor Luther is actually praising someone, he explained. The fire in your hand is the fire element you imagined. Instead of a conventional element, it is your own flame, your own magic. This is my own magic. Don't forget that feeling. I'm sure all of you have realized this by now, but this is the method that I am teaching. Use your own senses, based on your own experiences. Basic knowledge is the foundation for using elemental attributes, but thinking that fire is hot and ice is cold, even a 3-year-old knows that. A true mage must imbue it with something special. Manifest your element by thinking of a special moment in your life. Feel the element with your 5 senses. Some students applied the method and succeeded. Seeing this, the other students eagerly followed suit. Only the stubborn Flora seemed unconcerned. I already know all of that stuff. I actually thought he was going to show me something that I didn't already know. It's probably nothing special anyway, but why did he go out of his way to teach that rookie so carefully and in such detail? And he even praised him just for manifesting a single element? What happened to the man who made me lose face in front of everyone during the first class? I was just going to do something inconspicuous, but let's see if you can not praise my element now. Cheryl, beside her, was shocked. Layered magic? You can use that already? If I use a wind magic skill here and create a vortex. Shortly after she activated the magic, the light in her hand grew increasingly out of control. Cheryl worried, isn't that too dangerous? Flora, stop it! The more Flora thought, the more stressed she became. At this rate, it's going to explode. I have to stop it. I need at least a barrier so no one around gets hurt. The surrounding students sensed trouble and quickly started to flee as things got more and more chaotic. Suddenly, a voice called out to Flora, focusing on Loot G's hand. G placed it on her spell, helping her stabilize the rampaging energy. Flora Lumos, don't give up. Control your magical power. I'll help you. The spell orb was no longer expanding. The orb of magic gathered a large amount of energy and gradually began to shrink. It's more stable now. He reminded her, stay focused. It's not over yet. If you stop here, your magic will vanish without accomplishing anything. Are you okay with that? He looked at Flora with a steady gaze, waiting for her decision. Flora was determined in her heart to complete this spell. I've already come this far, so I will see it through. There have always been two kinds of gazes directed at me. Admiration and envy. I've never paid any attention to those looks, let alone let them affect me. In fact, the hardest thing I've had to endure is that look. The kind that looks down on me and treats me like a child. My father's sharp glare. And then my first encounter with Professor Lutter. The first impression was a 10-point deduction and a sense of failure. That was the first time I had ever felt that. Because of that humiliation, I was even reminded of childhood memories I wanted to forget. I turned away so I couldn't see his face, but I'm sure he looked at me with the same contempt as my father. The Lumos family never forgets a grudge. Someday I will defeat you, Professor. I swear it, I promise. I guarantee it. That was my resolve. But now, with his help, her spell had returned to a normal state. With just a little more effort, the two of them finally completed the combination spell. It was a difficult feat for Flora. Seeing the result in her hands, she was ecstatic. Lot G, however, didn't look pleased at all. He looked her straight in the eye and said, that was a very naive thing you did, Flora Lumos. I don't care if you try a new type of magic and fail, because everyone fails. But it's another matter entirely if you endanger the other students. Along with your inexperience in mixing two elements, you even chose fire and ice. It's very difficult to harmonize two opposing elements. That's true, but I succeeded, didn't I? I admit I was intentionally trying to mix in a third element, but when I mixed fire and ice, the result was perfect. Hearing these words, he fell silent for a long moment as if deep in thought. A moment later, two elemental energies appeared in his hand. He mixed the two elements with just one hand. The light in his palm flared with a beautiful, sparkling color. You should know the difference between them. Your mixed element is only beautiful on the surface because the fire is frozen, but that's all there is to it. What does this magic actually accomplish in the end? Is it just for decoration? Hearing his criticism, Flora was helpless, unable to offer any rebuttal. The surrounding students sensed the tense atmosphere. He threw his magic into the air. The magic emitted a gentle light, followed by the appearance of white snowflakes. They fell gently throughout the classroom. The students stared in awe at the magic. Flora watched and understood her lesson. The magic was optimized to restrain the fire. It allowed him to combine the expansive nature of fire with the cold of ice into a single incantation. He turned the elements he used into something far more useful. I've been completely defeated. His voice softened as he called her name. Flora. He wasn't reprimanding her for her lack of skill. It wasn't a harsh scolding, but a gentle voice. It left her utterly stunned. This time she looked up at his expression. His face was stern, but his eyes held a gentle respect. Yes, he continued, you have a very special skill. I've never met a mage with your technique at your age. My question is much more fundamental than that. In my eyes, your magic is just for show. I have no right to interfere with your purpose for using magic, but at least find a path for it other than showing off. For your own sake. Feeling the rare kindness and warmth from the professor through the pat on her shoulder, the girl took his words to heart. He said, everyone back to your seats. He also returned to the lecturer's podium. As Flora absorbed the new knowledge, her mind began to work excitedly. He didn't yell or look down on me. He was genuinely worried. Even my own father has never looked at me with that kind of expression. Lost in thought, she was suddenly hit by a wave of dizziness and a headache. Cheryl worriedly rushed to support her.
It's okay. I'm fine. I'm just a little dizzy from using too much mana. But I feel like I'm about to pass out. Is he okay, though?
The professor must have used even more mana than I did. On Lut-G's side, he clicked his tongue, wincing. Good thing I took that medicine earlier. I'm so dizzy. That kid. Not only can she combine elements at such a young age, but she combined 3 incredibly difficult elements. I was also reprimanded by my teacher for showing off like that. I might have been a little hard on her because it reminded me of that. I wonder if it hurt her feelings. Still, I hope she overcomes it easily. My advice is never just empty words. Continuing the lesson, he walked around the class to check on them. As expected of Soren, everyone's doing well. She said, "This year's students are full of talented people. Is this a golden generation?" Then, his attention was drawn to a student. What's wrong, Rena? Taking in the situation, he had already figured out the problem. So, you can't summon an element completely, can you? Simply put, that element doesn't exist. He then addressed the whole class. Today's lesson is over. Instead of homework, we will review what you learned today. And Rena, you will come with me to the professor's office. Hearing that she was called to the office, both she and the princess next to her were bewildered. In the professor's office, he told the girl to wait a moment while he fumbled around, searching for a book or something. Rena sat on the chair, panicking. Her mind was overthinking everything. Why did he call me here? No way! Is this a private interview? Does he want to kick me out of his class? That must be it. How could a student who can't even properly summon an element keep up with his spell class? But I don't want to miss Professor Luth's lectures, she worried. She glanced up and saw him approaching with a stack of papers. No way! Is that a class transfer form? He really is trying to move me to another professor's class. So? The moment he called her name, the girl frantically said, "Professor Luthger, I'll do my absolute best. I'll do anything you ask. So please, don't make me drop your class." Looking a bit confused, he handed her a worn-out old book. What on earth are you talking about? Huh? It's not a class transfer form? You've been saying the strangest things this whole time. Just take it. My arm's getting tired. He told her to read and learn from that book from now on. A path you've never known will be written inside. Research on non-attribute magic. Professor, where did you get this book? He replied nonchalantly, by chance. That's the result of her entire life's research. Unbelievable. Besides you, there was someone else who possessed non-attribute magic. What happened to her? She's no longer in this world. As he said this, she was surprised to notice Luther's expression. His usually stern, intimidating face now held a hint of somber sadness, and his eyes had become deep and complex. So I can't learn the magic of other attributes? It's really hopeless. As far as I know, yes. Are you disappointed? Yes. I wanted to control at least one element. What do you think of people who can only control one element? The girl hesitated before answering. Talentless. He shook his head. Not at all. A person who can control only a single element is a person with infinite talent for that specific element. Their magic can even interfere with nature itself. That's how they demonstrate supreme skill with their own element. Yes, I was just listening to your explanation. Yes. So what about non-attribute magic? Literally, it has no attributes. He replied, sipping his tea. It's still unclear if non-attribute magic is truly what its name suggests, but there was a time when the 10th non-attribute element was grouped with the earth element, but that was in the past. Now that science has advanced, there are different studies, so don't worry. Both the world and magic are constantly evolving. Anything can happen. Read that book, starting today. This is a personal assignment I'm giving you. It will help you immensely. After settling the matter, he leaned back in his chair and relaxed. It really is quite surprising for her to possess non-attribute magic, but on top of that, those eyes of moral distinction. I never expected to encounter them here. They haven't awakened yet, so the girl herself doesn't know. But I also never imagined that the book she wrote would return to her in this way. Could this be what people call fate? After class, in the lecture hall, Idle diligently practiced his magic after getting pointers from him. He practiced for who knows how long, but this time he succeeded. He was overjoyed that the method Professor Luthger taught him was so effective. He remembered how, when demonstrating the magic, Professor Luther's eyes were so gentle and serious. So I really did misunderstand him, huh? After all, someone who loves magic that much can't possibly be a bad person. Then he noticed a group of people not far away. Who are they? A group of noble students were gathered. Seems like someone important is here. Just then, another student approached Idol's group with a sarcastic tone. "Oh, look who it is, if it isn't Idol. The brat who can't even materialize a single elemental attribute. Still acting so arrogant, are we, kid?" Leo, furious and about to lose control of his words, was thankfully calmed down by Idol. "Leo, calm down, I'll handle this. Javon, look, I don't know what I did to upset you, but I'll apologize now. So can you please just leave us alone from now on?" Javon scoffed. "Leave you guys alone? As if. But on one condition, kneel." "What condition? Don't be ridiculous. A noble like you, have you no shame? Why is a washed-up noble like you sticking her nose into this?" "It figures. You clearly weren't taught any manners," Eden said gravely, calling his full name, Javon Felio. "You can mock me all you want, but you dare lay a hand on my friends, and I won't let it slide." "Oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it? You want to do this?" He threw his glove at Eden. "Fine, I challenge you to a magic duel." Hearing Eden agree, Leo and Taxi were extremely worried. Eden, however, said without a hint of fear, "If I win, you have to apologize to Leo and Taxi. That's if you can win. You'd better prepare yourself to kneel before me." Just then, Lutger appeared. "What are you two doing?" Upon seeing him, Javon's face twisted in annoyance. Lutger thought to himself, equally annoyed. "Not you again. You're not the main character, you know. Now explain what happened." Javon cut in first. "This is a legitimate duel. I issued a formal challenge and my opponent has already accepted. A first-year student in a magic duel, that doesn't seem right, does it? Is there a rule that forbids first-year students from doing so? What's with this kid?" He then noticed the whispering crowd behind them and quickly understood the problem. "Is he planning on helping that brat? Why the hell is he staring at me? I will not be held responsible for an accident that has yet to occur. Return to your dorms." Professor Chris stepped forward and said, "Just leave them be, Professor Lutger. Isn't this a blatant abuse of your authority? Even a professor doesn't have the power to stop students who have voluntarily agreed to a duel." Lutger didn't know what he was planning, but he had already stepped into a messy situation. "Even so, we can't just stand by and let inexperienced students with no real combat experience get hurt. If you're so worried about that, then why don't we both participate?" He didn't answer right away, instead looking to the students behind him. Both nodded firmly in agreement. "Since they both agree, I will follow your suggestion, Professor Chris." Professor Chris, seemingly not ready to let him off the hook, said, "One more thing. Would you care to make a wager with me, Professor Lutger? It's not mandatory, of course. It is a bit ridiculous to bet on a match, whose outcome is already known." Lutger replied instantly, "A wager? Fine, I accept." "I didn't expect you to agree so easily. So which student do you think will win, Professor Lutger?" "As for me, Professor Chris, I will, of course, bet on Javon Felio. I believe he is an extremely talented mage." "Ah, I'm sure you want to bet on Javon as well, correct? Should we change the bet to how Javon will win?" "Thanks, but no thanks. There's no need for that. I was planning to bet on Eden from the start." "Very well. I don't know where you get that confidence from. So, what are the stakes, Professor Chris? How about a little of the magic we research? After all, we were both assigned to teach the spellcasting course. Is it true you also teach spellcasting?" "I honestly had no idea." These words made Chris's anger boil over. He gritted his teeth, cursing internally. "Do you really think you can live peacefully after humiliating me like that?" Lutger also felt a bit uneasy. "So he teaches spellcasting too, huh? All right then. Then the duel will commence in 3 days. "That sounds reasonable. I look forward to it." After setting the time, Chris left in a huff. Eden shyly apologized to him. He calmly replied, "Let's start thinking about how you're going to win. You and Javon have completely different starting points, but it's too early to conclude that you'll definitely lose, because in any duel, variables always exist." "Then guess what variable can help me win this duel?" "What a silly question. You already possess it. You just need to use it at the critical moment." Eden thought to himself, "If I use that, maybe I can actually claim victory." But he remembered something from before, a flash of an image. "Professor, I want to win with my own strength. So please teach me, Professor Rutger. Remember this well, Eden. When I teach you this, it's best you don't go showing it off recklessly. Otherwise, you'll get yourself into a lot of trouble in dangerous situations. On top of that, this is my main source of income. You wouldn't want me to starve to death on the street, would you, Eden?" "Yes, sir. I will remember that. But just because I said that, doesn't mean you should never use it at all. When you truly feel it's necessary, use it without any hesitation. Because life is long and there will definitely come a time when you'll need to make a decision." when that moment comes, Eden.
Just do what your heart tells you.
Remembering his master's words, the boy's gaze grew even more resolute. Rutger was slightly surprised by his reaction, but inwardly, he'd been fed up for a long time. What the hell was that crap he just spewed? I accepted his request because I believed in his magic. So what now? He says he wants to win with his own strength? What, is his magic not his own strength? Oh, whatever, fine. This is also a good opportunity to test this kid. I agree with you, I will teach you how to gain an advantage in a duel between mages. For you, it might be as harsh as torture, and there's no guarantee that you'll win. Eden replied resolutely that he would do his best. Yes, good. Then let's get straight to the training. Yes, sir. We're going right now? It's a bit sudden, but I understand. They should go ahead and prepare the victory party. I'm quite looking forward to your performance over the next 3 days. His training lasted until late at night. Eden returned to his room, exhausted. I'm dead. The training was way harder than I imagined. I can't believe I'm still about to continue this for 2 more days. Why is the professor so sure that I'll win? Not many people know about my special magic. Perhaps he already knows something? At that thought, his exhausted brain shut down without warning. Eden just passed out, dead to the world. End of the first day of training. Elsewhere, that Rutger Chelsea had personally offered to guide that mediocre kid. Of course things would turn out this way, wouldn't they? Even though he tried to act calm, he must be desperate for a win. I'm sure you know why I called you here, don't you, Javon Felio? Yes, sir. You told me I absolutely must defeat that arrogant brat. Chris cut in. No, that alone isn't enough. You must show them the gap between us nobles and those commoners. Just how vast it is? I don't think you'll lose, but it's best to do this just to be sure. Chris took a bluish potion of some kind out of a drawer, handing it to Javon. This is a mana-enhancing potion. Drink this before the match. But if I'm discovered, won't my status as a student be revoked? This is a special item from the Benemo family. You won't be found out. Those worthless commoner bastards will surely use any means necessary to win, so we can't possibly disappoint them. The professor is right. Although it's a bit of an insult to my pride, it's still better than losing to some commoner bastard. That's right, Javon. You've made the right decision. Very quickly, the day of the match arrived. At the training ground, the stands were packed, buzzing with the gossip of eager students. Who's going to win? The noble kid has the advantage, right? Yeah, because the education nobles receive is completely different. I heard that first-year student is pretty formidable, too. He was involved in that werewolf incident right before this, wasn't he? Did he really catch them? I thought it was Professor Rutger who caught them. Professor Rutger is really coaching him? It looks like the other side belongs to Professor Chris, then. Professor Chris, who's that? Is he the one in charge of teaching the first years? That's right. I think those two get compared a lot because they both teach spellcasting. Chris heard every single one of those whispers very clearly. Rutger Chelsea. Starting today, I will put an end to your arrogance. I will make you suffer a defeat. A humiliating one, in front of everyone. Just then, another group arrived. The headmaster and other teachers came to watch the match. Hello, Professor Chris Benemo. Headmaster. What brings you here? I heard something very interesting was going on, so I brought him along. Ah, Professor Luthger, it's been a long time. Has everything been going well for you? He bowed politely and replied, Yes, thanks to you, sir. I heard you two made a bet. So who did you wager on to win, Professor? I bet on Eden. Does that mean Professor Chris bet on Javon? I'm really looking forward to this. But in any case, the student's safety is our top priority. You don't need to worry about that. Defensive magic surrounds their bodies like a shield, and it will block any and all attacks. Oh, the two opponents are right on time. The first one to step out is Eden, in a sturdy set of magic armor. His friends in the stands are cheering him on enthusiastically. Wipe that arrogant smirk off that brat's face, Eden. You can do it. Javon steps out confidently, waving to the crowd. His friends are just as enthusiastic. Go, Javon, we believe in you. Show them the pride of a nobleman. I will check your conditions for a moment before we begin. Yes, sir. Javon, remember your promise. Why don't you win first before you start crowing? The professor gave a quick check and declared everything was in order. Then he noticed the sword at Eden's hip. Eden held up the sword and said, This is a personal item I will be using in this match. It appears to be a sword, doesn't it? Well, this item was made based on the shape of a sword. Ah, the sword looks very dull and has no sharp edges. Only then did he approve it. Now, as you both know, the first one whose defensive magic is depleted loses. Let the match begin. Eden opened with a blue fireball attacking first. Javon also started with a fireball. The casting speed of both of them is about the same. Well, they were both taught by Professor Luthger after all. Just as I predicted, he used the fire element first. Knowing Javon, he'd probably use his strongest fire attribute spell first. That bastard's skills have improved. On top of that, element-wise, I'm at a disadvantage. However, that only matters if the power within our spells is equal. Javon's power was overwhelming, pushing back Eden's attack. He quickly dodged to avoid the blow. Just as that attack passed, Eden was hit by another one. This is the gap between you and me. You lowly commoner brat! But Eden wasn't a pushover. He quickly summoned a large magic circle. The two elements collided and exploded. Damn it! Eden is gradually being overpowered. If this keeps up, he's gonna lose. In that case, I'll use what I learned from Professor Luthger. Javon laughed loudly and replied, Giving up already, you insignificant bastard? It's over! Huh? Wait. Chris, who was smiling, suddenly froze and looked at Eden. He suddenly felt uneasy. Eden was now using a special kind of spell. No, it can't be. That's a teleportation spell. How can he use a technique of wartime mages? Did Luthger teach him that in just 3 days? No, that's not it. More importantly, a commoner, as ordinary as they come, mastered teleportation in just 3 days? Javon started to get flustered. What the hell just happened? The foundation of magic is concentration. It's hard to focus and cast a spell while moving like this. No, don't get flustered. I've already finished casting the spell. With this, I can shatter his concentration. Eden, while running, tried to maintain his focus and dodge Javon's attacks. Gradually, his outer layer of armor began to crack. His technique is starting to weaken. When the tip of Eden's sword got within a certain distance, he unleashed a direct attack. Javon didn't see this move coming. He just stood there and took the hit straight to his forehead. As he fell, he looked up to see Eden standing before him, pointing the sword at him. My turn now, isn't it? Javon, terrified, wanted to stall for time, but Eden decisively wouldn't let that happen. The match is over. The referee declared Eden the winner. Leo and Taxi cheered excitedly. You were so cool, Eden. That's the result of all your hard work. Contrary to the joy of Eden's supporters, those who supported Javon looked disappointed. That brat Javon. He's tarnishing the honor of the nobility. I never expected anything from him in the first place. Gradually, the stands behind Javon filled with harsh criticism and insults. Javon sat on the ground, trembling, unable to believe the result. He went from denial to blaming others. That's right. That commoner must have cheated. How else could he use magic while moving? In that moment of desperation, he chanted a spell and screamed, wanting to finish Eden off. What is he trying to do? Javon, that guy's insane! Eden, get out of the way! Watching the attack fly towards him, his master's words echoed in his mind. Because life is long, there will definitely come a time when you must make a decision. When that moment comes, Eden, he charged forward and used the wooden sword to slice that powerful fire attack in two. He strained, trying to split that raging fire, saving the referee's life in the process. The people in the stands started whispering. What just happened? Did that kid just cut magic in half? This child, he's so stubborn about that. But there's no doubt about it. He used it at the most crucial moment. Professor Chris watched, completely stunned. Anti-magic. A rare spell that can erase magic. How the hell did that brat use it right after using a teleportation spell? Javon held his wand, trembling. Eden strode angrily straight towards Javon. He decisively landed a punch on Javon. He fell weakly to the ground in front of the entire hall. Javon, I thought you'd at least have the decency to admit your own defeat. I had no idea you were worse than garbage. My. His losing face is so ugly. Don't you think so? Fredden, I don't know. I was never interested in barons to begin with. Still, I should keep an eye on that commoner, Iden, because he might be more talented than some of those nobles. We've seen enough. Let's go, Henry. Before leaving, Fredden glanced back at Lutter. Having watched the match without emotion, Lutter departed, his mind a mess of thoughts. Meanwhile, Chris, having lost the bet, turned to Lutter and said, Did you know that student could use anti-magic? I don't understand why you're so angry. You're in charge of teaching the first years. Did you even bother to check all the students' personal information? In any case, his anti-magic played a huge part in his victory. Oh, and by the way, our bet was for your specialized research paper, wasn't it? That's right. Is there something you want? Not at all. I don't want anything. I certainly don't want your research paper. After all, using someone else's stolen work as a wager is not my style. With that, he left, leaving a fuming Chris sitting there. He said, "Not my style" to me? To me, Chris Benamo? That damn Lutter Chelsea? On the way back to his office, Sedina was waiting for him in the hallway. "Congratulations on winning the bet, sir. However, with this result, you're going to attract Soren's attention. Will that be all right?" "I'm fine. In fact, this is actually a good thing." "How so?" "What do you mean, sir?" "The headmaster already suspects me. She has been aware of our existence for a long time now. Even as a professor, I can't easily get off her list of suspects. It's simply not possible. But you came here as a professor precisely to avoid suspicion. But because of this incident, I've now established a reputation with the headmaster. The situation has changed. She can't just change her perception of me overnight. However, Sedina, you'll need to cooperate with me too. It'll attract too much attention if I'm constantly seen meeting with a student I have no connection to like this. However, it's perfectly natural for a professor to meet with an outstanding student. You must work hard and show them the image of a model student." Sedina clenched her fist, steeling her resolve. "This is the first mission you've given me directly. Understood? I will do my best to carry it out, even if I have to sacrifice my life." He sighed and said, "No, don't die." His words only made her more determined. "I will not die, even if I have to put my life on the line." Whatever. This girl is somehow becoming more and more of a handful. This incident has helped solidify my position as being on the headmaster's side, while also sending a message to the Black Dawn Society that I can't act recklessly. But I can't keep this up forever. I should probably form my own organization. In that case, the first thing I need is... Suddenly, the communication orb on his desk began to glow. "As you requested, I have scouted the nearby areas. What do we have to do to maintain our position? I'm not sure what the situation in the dark alley is, but it seems it's time for us to use our power." You grasped the situation quickly. "You're absolutely right. It's time for us to use our power." "Perfect timing. We're heading there now. Don't worry, if it comes to that, we just need to finish it quickly." In a certain tavern, an irritable man was looking to pick a fight. When someone asked how he was, he glared at them and said, "Do I look okay to you, huh?" "Ooh, that bastard Bebbit. He was supposed to make a return on our investment before he died. Now everything we poured into him is gone. We still have a little money left, though. We can still find another way, right?" "Exactly. That's why I called you all here. We're going to have to expand our business on a large scale soon." First off, those bastards. He noticed a man with a distinct aura entering the tavern. "What's with that guy? We're closed. Get lost." "Hey, you! Didn't you hear me? We're closed. Model," Lutgirl asked directly. "You're Duturi, the leader of the Red Society, aren't you?" "I don't know you. Have we met before?" "Of course not. It's just that you're so famous that I know of you." "My apologies, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jay Moriarty." "Huh? Jay Moriarty? The criminal consultant? The one who controls the black market alleys of the Dalika Kingdom? But he's been in hiding for years, so why would he show up here now? I should probably test this guy out." Then he laughed loudly and said, "Professor Moriarty, I've heard a great deal about you." "I'm very pleased to hear that. But, Professor, I have no way of knowing if what you're saying is true or not. Are you suggesting I'm an imposter?" "Tisk. Well, who asked you to suddenly show up in a place like this?" "Your reasoning is fair enough, but I don't think you should be drawing your gun." "Oh dear, look at that. Was I right?" "Unfortunately for you, that won't be of any help." Duturi signaled for his men to shoot Lutji in the shoulder. The henchman understood, raised his gun, and prepared to pull the trigger. But just as he squeezed it, all of the guns malfunctioned at the same time. It turns out he had used a magic formation to lock all their weapons. That's precisely why I warned you earlier. A field of stillness? When did he even cast that? The corner of his mouth curled into a slight smile. A loud noise came from the door, and a tall, growling werewolf strode in. At the sight of it, the entire crowd was so terrified their legs gave out, and they couldn't even stand. The werewolf walked over and stood behind him like the world's strongest bodyguard. You're actually keeping a dire wolf?" "So those dire wolves from last time, they were his doing too?" Before Lutgirl entered this tavern, he had already spoken with Han. "It seems you're here because you want a more detailed explanation of the situation, correct? First off, the dark alley we're staking out appears to be divided among 4 dark societies. The largest is a group of thugs called the Red Society. All of their business is dirty work. Essentially, they control that entire alley. In that case, Our target is the Red Society. Correct. If we take care of them first, it'll make things easier down the line. However, the Red Society has a lot of members. It'll be difficult to defeat them quickly. Should we start with the easiest one? No, that's a waste of time. It'll be much faster if we aim straight for the leader. If we cut off the snake's head, and the rest will surrender on its own. But now isn't the right time. They've been collaborating very closely lately. This only started after that Benson Richardson guy died, didn't it? Yes, that's right. But hold on. It seems between Benson and the Red Society there's some kind of connection. Many incidents and concerns revolve around Benson. It's likely that all the dirty jobs the Red Society did were on his behalf. Now that their key figure is dead, they must be pretty ticked off. If they've all teamed up, that's even more convenient. We can wipe them all out in one go. No, hold on. They're not just ordinary thugs. Their strength is comparable to that of mercenaries. No, more like amateur knights. That still doesn't mean they're real knights, though. It's not a big deal. Really? Well, if you say so, I guess it must be true. Not that they're weak, of course, but never mind, don't bring it up. All right, Han? I need you to help me with something. And so for this particular mission, Han transformed into a werewolf, tried to puff himself up to look more ferocious, and then just stood there until everything was over. So he can't scare them by himself and needs a giant beast to do the intimidation for him? But for a job like this, I'm the perfect fit. Look, sir, I already told you. If a real fight breaks out, I'm going to be the first one to run. Got it? As long as you scare them, that'll be enough. This guy, I don't know if he's an imposter or not, but I can't afford to go easy on him. I knew he had magic, but I never imagined he'd have a dire wolf with him. I understand now. So you are the real Moriarty. My apologies for not recognizing you. I suppose I've proven my identity then. Now let's get straight to the main reason I've come here today. I'm planning to start a new business in this city. A business? What kind of business are you planning? We'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks. And I also have a few things to say to you all. I don't like these dirty, deceitful games. From this day on, the Shitch Guild will be gone for good. Hearing his words, the man was stunned for a moment. He then ordered his underlings to attack him at once. Lutger didn't let him escape, striking him in the ribs with a club. A few of the underlings drew their knives, ready to rush in as the two bewildered werewolves whispered to each other. These guys aren't running at all. What are you planning to do? Let's get ready to split up.